that should work now. My microphone wasn't actually working. It's now working. Thankfully, I checked the bars. But yes, Christoph. Hello. Christoph, we are so incredibly back. It's not even funny how back we are right now. Because, update. Okay, not to say that I called it. But I did call this 2 months ago, by the way. Much to Reddit's general disagreement that the last FAQ we got was clearly the last FAQ ever. That FAQ was never going to get followed up with anything substantial. It was always just going to be Chaos Dwarfs and nothing else. And as is so often the case, your boy Toast is proven right. Of course, we've got more than just Chaos Dwarfs. We've got a whole bunch of things, including, of course, updates to core rules, a new mission pack, updates to universal abilities, updates to fix some of the issues in the last FAQ, funnily enough. And of course, we've got Chaos Dwarfs. It's a good time. Nice casual stream today. Nothing really to talk about. Nah, man, there's literally nothing to talk about, Beer. Like, nothing's happened, obviously. Reddit must loathe you. I am pretty sure Reddit curses my name on a daily basis. Because every time I say a thing and it's proven right, my smugness just it escalates to even higher levels. It's of course all in jest, but it is quite entertaining when it does happen. Filax, don't you worry, my dear. There's already someone saying this feels like the last. Really? Jesus, honestly, right? The fact that there's always at least one person, right? You get good news, you get good stuff. You get lots of good stuff in a very short amount of time. And then bish bash bosh, man, Warcry's dead. Every time, can these people leave the hobby? Right? I'm not to be really mean or gatekeepy. If you think the game is dead, then fuck off and find something else. Just be happy. There's new stuff. Joe, what were you being smug about? Because I called that this FAQ was coming out 2 months ago. And it was coming with more than Chaos Dwarfs. So it was coming with like a full FAQ treatment, more or less. And that's what we got. So, kind of called it. Smug time. The time is nigh. You can't make miserable people happy if they're determined. That's very true. It's very difficult to make miserable people happy. Beardo, including the best new yes, those harpoon carriers are wild. My god, those are some special boys. Although maybe not the best. So because okay, they probably are the best because they're fast and they're cheap. But like legitimately, bull centaurs as treasure carriers are kind of wild. Like they're an all-around really good treasure carrier, treasure denial, treasure hunter piece. Because many people pick up treasures with chaff, low quality pieces, and then they'll castle up to protect them. Bull centaurs are so much fun because they can kill chaff. Their stat line's completely fine. 5, 4, 2, 3, buff that of demon points. They're like 6, 5, 2, 2, 4. Give them, an extra point of crit. They're like 6, 5, 2, 5. Okay. They move at 9 base, and then you check out their ability, and there's nothing quite like it, right? So you move into combat in engagement range with somebody. You make a free move, passing through everything. Then you get to attack and kill a guy. So you can kill their treasure carrier. Bish bash bosh, you're kind of done. You've assassinated their castle defense. Alternatively, you can use this to slingshot towards treasures. For example, you could do this to slingshot through a unit to then pick up a treasure on the way past that you've killed previously with ranged or whatever. Slingshot through, pick it up. It could be a case of one of those treasure missions where you have to use an action to pick up a treasure from an objective. Well, Christian Worthy, slingshot through. You don't have to attack With Crush the Unworthy, you just get a benefit to the attack if you choose to. So blast on through, action to pick it up. Best part is, if they don't engage you, you can also slingshot to launch yourself out of combat with also Crush the Unworthy. He's a really interesting pick for treasures, I think. Maybe not the best. I think the best are likely going to be, just for pure points, right? Like 120 points for those new KO guys. Let's get them up whilst we're here. Because those KO guys are pretty saucy. I think we can all agree. I think they've finally solidified Caradon as not just a gun line now. You know what I mean? Christoph, now we just need new Warcry products. I know, so many warbands already, but blah, blah, blah. We've Idneth, Slanesh. Yeah. I don't think we're going to get new warbands, sadly, until we get a new edition. And if we do get a new edition, I'm looking forward to what that would be. For sure. And yes, a Slanesh bespoke would be so good. Musical ogres. Go completely wild. Go like proper, full on like ogres who are inappropriately dressed with saxophones and sitars and shit, right? And just go all out with sexy musical ogres. Proper just like curveball people. Be awesome. Trust us. So the new lads, right? They are somewhere in here. Maybe. Have they not been added to Warcry? No. Yeah, I'm with Reddit now. Cancel that toast guy. He said no. Maybe. No, I would love to see some new content. Honestly, I just don't think we're going to get any content is the issue. Let's go here. So I think, right, finally, Caradon have entered their final form. Okay. I'll get this zoomed right in because I want this to be properly visible for people because the PDF isn't the best way to view things, right? This should be nice and viewable now. If you want it more zoomed in, let us know. I'll zoom it in even further. So ages way back, we've got the code right. He was an interesting cheap pick you could take. He's fine. I think his double's actually quite useful, especially into hordes. It forces uncomfortable play by your opponent. It's a fun time. But of course, the new stuff. So they've had a bunch of nerfs. Obviously, they had Fight for Profit was nerfed again way back. They've had frequent nerfs to their ranged attacks, their big guns. But they've received a new lease of life as people have experimented with other things within their lineup. They haven't really gained anything for a while, bar the code right. But the nerfs of their stuff has led to people experimenting with more balloons, with more spears, different leaders. It's been a really fun time for KO players to experiment with other things that aren't just, aether cannons and being boring as fuck. And now we have more new things. And the best part is, it's the balloons, because the balloons are the most fun aspect of KO. They are quite expensive typically, but they are so much fun. And the new balloons are wonderful. Christoph, the Null Chemist. My God, the Null Chemist is so much fun. At 280, this guy is staggeringly expensive. But he's movement 10, 25 wounds is a smidge low, but a 6622 profile is a lot of fun, and it has an ability on a triple to increase that to a 6644, which is a devastating profile. 6644. If you're in range of something and you can fire 12 times at 4/4 damage, like that's threatening a slan, right? Like that could full on delete a slan. Not reliably, but it could. If it isn't, it's bringing it down to kill range for all of your other guns. the new Realm Go Ritualist, because this ability only gives you that buff, for the record, if you're attacking mystics or priests. Well, where are all the pulls coming from in the game? Okay, Great Bray Shamans, they're mystics. Boom, they get killed outright by this guy. We're talking about the Slaughter Priests, right? The big old 30 wound guys. They're in grave danger because they're priests, right? The new Realm Go Ritualist, they 16 wounds or 20 wounds, whatever. Immediate death. Hey, True, how's it going, man? The Null Chemist, minus the Spheranxes, as uncommon as they may be, are actually mystics. There are a lot of mystics and a lot of priests in the game, and the Null Chemist is such a weird pick into all of them. And I can see it's in certain metas this being great, but even just as a thematic and fun piece, the Null Chemist is just great. And I would take him in my KO lists. Yeah, exclusively take him into all games against Phylax and kill his Ritualist turn 1 every game. I would go through every single mystic and priest in the game, but that would take forever. There are many though. There are so many. And this thing just pops them, or just does catastrophic damage to them. It's so much fun. Even Stormcast Wizards. Stormcast Wizards are all, of course, mystics. They've all got toughness 5. And they're about 20 to 28 wounds, depending on flavor. I think 30 if you go the full-on Domitan route. The Null Chemist can delete one. Can pretty reliably chunk or delete one of those. Pretty sure as well, if you go into Sacrosanct, I know it's Sacrosanct, but whatever, their Celestial Dracolines are all mystics as well. Okay, so the actual Null Chemist is kind of wild into Chaff Swarms, right? It's still so that's on the high end. If you're looking at triple things, you can just delete big stuff that are wizards or priests. But just having 6 attacks, strength 6, it's just reliable damage. Shockingly reliable damage into most things. Christoph, off me as the last list, you swap the Slan with a Null Chemist. Carrying Blessings, they cost almost the same. All the speed and hunting, that is actually, Christoph, that's really interesting. Because yeah, they will be about the same price. And this guy's, he's squishier. He's much faster though. I wonder what the damage compares, because you're getting twice the shots, but you've got less damage in crit. That'd be interesting. I could see that working though, as a really cool clutch change from Slan to Null Chemist. That'd be a really fun list to run. I would go for it. But dude, Null Chemist is my new. If I've been dabbling with the idea of KO for a while. As you've seen on stream, I've played KO a few times on stream, but I've never felt like I've really found a list that I really wanted to make my own. It often became some sort of flavor of Phylax's Warhammer World list, unintentionally, every time, because that list is so much fun. But I think Null Chemists are just that's the thing. I'm oh, okay, hello. This lad is right up my alley. And then you've got Vongrin's Harpoon Crew and the Salvagers. These are so good. So good. 115 for the cheapest guy. Guy's got 14 wounds, not 12, which I was expecting. 14 wounds. They're squishy at toughness 3, granted. It's actually more damage. Yeah, okay, it's hard to double shoot, I guess, because it's got 4 inches less range. But it can get into position to fire more effectively because the Slan's really slow. Moving 4, even with fly, is dreadfully slow. I think it's a really cool trade-off. I would try that. I would try that every day of the week. That's a really good shout, Christoph. Ziggy, Joe, I feel like the trickle of products is needed to keep the normies engaged. No, you're right. You're completely right there, actually, Ziggy. More product is, product with the Warcry name on it. Definitely helps. And I get that, we're getting product sort of offhandedly through Age of Sigmar and Underworlds. It's not quite the same though. Beardo, so I have a question. You think the establishment of don't play defensive elites is gone now? I don't understand what defensive elites are. My brain's not quite working with that. Grumpy Guard, you haven't missed much. We're talking about all the cool new stuff. We're new stuff in, starting with KO because KO are really cool. Christoph just said that off-meta musings, rather outstanding. Riverblade list, dropping the Slan for the Null Chemist is a really funky pick, and I'm all for it. And also, on a side note, the Null Chemist is actually gotten me to want to play Caradon Overlords. Just straight up by himself. And then the Harpoon Crews as well. These guys are what KO needed. Cheap, affordable balloon dwarfs. They're movement 10. They're durable enough. Remember, you still have a good deal. These guys are disgusting to kill. In melee, if you want these guys to live, they will live. They are shockingly good at surviving. The cheapest one, getting a 3-shot pistol, is really spicy. I don't know why he's got a 3-shot pistol, but he does. And then their abilities are just sauce, right? Like the Light Engine pack, make a bonus move action. And if you're in combat with somebody, move 10 instead. Like, someone said that these are the best treasure carriers in the game. These are the best treasure carriers in the game. By far, right? Because nothing's this cheap. Nothing's this cheap and can escape being caught. Nothing's this cheap, can escape being caught, and functionally can't die in melee because of a good deal. Right? These are wild. Insane. Right? Especially the cheapest one. Because you can, if it's not a treasure mission, this lad can just stay back, fire his pistol 3 times. That's good chip for a low price. He can pressure objectives, kill off little chaff. He can run all kinds of... He can just fly into somebody and just tie them up for a turn. Right? These are just great utility picks. And the Salvager, like, I would take one of each, potentially. Because the Salvager, despite being more expensive, is slightly better in melee, which I don't really care about. The main draw here is the Spotter's Flare Gun. Picking a fighter or an objective, and then everything within 3 inches of that target are -1 toughness, is thematic as all heck. Because it has to be visible as well, right? It's got to be visible to the target because the target's on fire, letting off the light that lights everybody else up. It's so much fun. It's thematically beautiful. And then that -1 toughness is just such a nice little debuff. It applies to all kinds of things, especially when you want to like swing up into like T5. You've got a lot of strength 4. Like a lot of strength 4 in KO. And Spotter's Flare Gun makes that strength 4 swing and strength 5 much easier, which is a lot of fun. And of course, as someone just said there quickly, the heal double is great, right? Like Von Grimm's crew, again, just being fantastic treasure carriers, can also heal. In addition to reducing damage, in addition to escaping any kind of danger. They are very silly, and I absolutely love them. Hey, Grumpy. Yeah, when I'm looking for a game, I'll definitely hit you up. I'm looking forward to that. Beardo, when the meta was more killy, it was not worth the points to bring elites that can't kill a lot of stuff. Yeah, okay. I think the meta might have changed slightly. I've always been a fan of tankier models. For example, I'm a huge proponent of the Knight of Shrouds on Ethereal Steed, as Lord Phylax can absolutely attest to, as being a fairly low damage output but incredibly durable model that can just tie things up. I've always been a fan of that. And I think this is going to happen more often because the overall damage of the game has been noticeably cut. Brutality, Ferocity, Onslaught, and Rampage all being changed or removed in one way or another has drastically reduced the kill potential of warbands, which means that it might mean that people might go towards tankier stuff in general, because that tankier stuff isn't just being completely annihilated by the wacky damage profiles that exist in Warcry. So maybe I could see it definitely. Ziggy, do you think that that respite on a double and Questor chain abilities will be strong? Yes, I was thinking about that actually. This morning when I was making the Questor list, I was like, hang on, the hero thing, I forgot what the bloody battle trait is. Being able to chain heal could be an incredible comeback for Questor because they've only got 20 wounds. They're fairly squishy. Big buff is okay. The update's been a buff and a nerf. So buff wise, they won't die as fast because of the kill factor of the game going down. Downside, they also can't kill as fast because they've lost onslaught. So Questor have been hit on both ends of that stick there. But on the plus side, they can heal, making them a lot more durable, especially when they can spam that shit. That's kind of crazy. There is absolutely a world where like you disengage with like a Grand Hammer, heal up like twice, move back into combat, and then use Force for a Thunderbolt to get a bonus attack action off. And get back into the fight. And like heal like 11 damage in the process. Like there's definitely a world for that. And if Sylvaneth are anything to go by, heals on doubles can be really strong. The only downside to Respite specifically is that you can't be in combat when you use it. So you can't like stay in combat and get swinging. Like with Sylvaneth, you've got to like disengage. Like swing once, move back, heal. So you lose a bit of damage when respiting. You don't lose any damage output when you're Sylvaneth or you're a troll or whatever else. That's a really good point, Ziggy. It's a really fun chain ability for Questor to use. Joe, the only product we need is 2 or 3 Mordheim City-style terrain boxes. Absolutely. I've been using 8-man Nurglekin, and it's my base. That sounds chunky as all hell, Joe. By the way, no, absolutely not. Neither are heroes. Thankfully, my God. I think I would have been incredibly disappointed had the Von Grimm's crew been heroes or Bladeborn in any way, because I am of the stance that compendium warbands need to have more uniqueness to them. So having just unique little things within them that can't just be allied out to the best faction. And I think what's happened in the past 2 FAQs, we've gotten a lot of non-Bladeborn. A lot of just new units, non-Bladeborn added in that have just enhanced existing factions in interesting ways. And I would have been so disappointed had Von Grimm's crew been Bladeborn or been allied out. It's the Warrior rune mark. So he's got the Salvager's got the Warrior rune mark and the Fly rune mark. I'll zoom in more if it would help. Yeah, no, he is not a hero, thankfully. And typically the hero rune mark tends to exist right at the top of the rune mark stuff. So, for example, the Null Chemist, his top rune mark is hero, which is typically where you'll find the hero rune mark. Whereas the Salvager, alas, does not have that. And these are great. These have like completely revitalized my love for KO, and I'm really excited to take like a Null Chemist and like maybe two harpooners or a harpooner and a Salvager as the base for a warband. Throw in like 3 spearmen. Like that's like my 6-man ideal base for a KO warband is that. And I think that'd be really fun. Incredibly fast. Disgustingly fast. With like 3 movement 10 flyers. It's 32 damage. That is insane. Yes, if you can get the Null Chemist in range of a Slan. What, Slan? Are Slan 32 wounds? Yes. So the Null Chemist can absolutely fly up to a Slan and then double tap and delete a Slan. On average. That's hilarious. Oh yeah, I don't get the hype on the Null Chemist. So the Null Chemist is really interesting because it's expensive at 280. It's not that expensive though, because it's still a movement 10 flyer with 25 wounds. It's like on par on durability with like Igniter Shrouds on Ethereal Steed. But he's more expensive, but of course he also has a 6-shot strength 6 gun with 2/2 damage. So that alone, without any buffs, 6622 is going to do a big old chunk of damage to anything, especially if fired twice at 12 shots. Then you factor in protection from the void, and you go to a 4/4 profile into Mystics and Priests, and there's a lot of Mystics and Priests in the game. The big one being Slan. The big ones in Chaos nowadays being the Realm Gore Ritualist, or Great Bray Shamans, or Ephelim, right? Or Slaughter Priests. There's so many Priests and Mystics in the game, and this guy deletes most of them. I will actually do the math on this. I'm going to go Warcry stats. It's a stats hammer. Let's work it out. They absolutely demolished chaff. Yeah, like 6,622. Like, you're looking at doing like 8 to 10 damage per shot, which kills most chaff. And Necromancers, yes, Diantelos, Necromancers, Aurelius, Zondara, all die instantly to the Null Chemist on a triple. It's wild. 4/4, 6/6, 4/4 on 12 shots potentially. You set that up, it's insane. Insane. And he's incredibly... No. He doesn't have Master of the Skies. Are you pulling my leg? He's got Master of the Skies? Hang on. Hold the phone, chat. Caradon. He's got the what's Master of the Skies? Where are we at? He does. Holy my god. My god. It's on the fly rune mark. Of course he has it. So he gets an extra point of damage on a double instead. So, okay, for mass... Holy shit. Okay, so against flyers, he goes to a 3/3, which is actually really good because into me specifically, I run a fair few flyers. That's really kind of clutch on that one, for one. And then into Mystics and Elites, he goes to a 4/4. Into a Slan, he can like cheap out and go to a 3/3 because the Slans both, right? I'm going to math it. I think I have to here because, like, I need to know. I'm sorry, Joe, for disappointing you. But I'm going to math this. 12 shots, 6. It's 32 damage. Yeah. On average, this guy one taps a Slan on a triple. Holy shit. If he doesn't kill the Slan, you know what kills the Slan? Right? The rest of these little shits, right, who also have fly, their guns into Slans are 3/3, 2/4s. That's wild. That's insane. You're sounding... How am I sounding like Muse? So yeah, like, honestly, right, like, I like a lot of the stuff in this update. But the Null Chemist has gotten me, like, properly excited. Because this guy's... you can build a warband around him, right? Like, he's such an interesting pick. And his other Bloom Boys are really cool. Like I said, I could take a Null Chemist, both of these other guys, throw in like 3 spears, and then build a warband around that. Oh yeah, okay. We are getting a bit statty there, but no, it's exciting. It's exciting times. We've never had such a weird little guy like this. I'm a lot more fun, maybe. I like to think I'm more fun. Out of interest as well. I'm going to do this one more time. We're not going to stat anything else because it's silly, but I am going to quickly do the stats on this one. It's like 8 damage. So like he's going to struggle to kill Chaff, but he can absolutely kill Chaff. Right, like 8 wounds is enough to kill like Elf Chaff. It's enough to kill Skinks. It's enough to kill, I believe, Skaven. I think, goblins and stuff. Like he can kill Chaff if he has to. He gets a little bit lucky. He'll go to town. Into Nighthaunt specifically, this guy goes to town because you burn that double, and then you blow up like 2 wraiths a turn, or you like instantly murder a Night Shrouds or some shit. Like into, Briar Queens are popular. She's both a flyer and I believe a mystic. The wielder of the blade has fly. Master of the skies, delete him instantly. Right? Like, and you've got to bearing in mind as well, like the things in melee that could threaten him don't actually threaten him all that much. Because 1, he's fast, 2, he can fire in melee, and 3, he's got a good deal to protect him. Crazy stuff. Also, can we talk about the horse that can do a minimum 9 damage on a double? And 1 hit if there's... Yes, we're going to talk about that now. Doesn't even need the leader if he's just a 666. I've missed what that part is there. I do apologize. Yeah, so we're going down this now. The Sylvaneth. I am so... Okay, for one, I love all 3 of these. I have a list already built, ready to go, that has all 3 of these in them, plus Skaith the Huntsman, and that list, on paper, looks disgustingly fast. As a hit-and-run, harassy nightmare list, it looks a whole lot of fun. Maybe not the best, but fun. But then you've got Cullen of the Axe. I think Cullen of the Axe is the thing that people, the guy who's going to be people are going to get the most hype out of. 4534 is an immense profile at 165. He's only toughness 3. He's made of paper, especially at 20 wounds. This guy will go down to a stiff breeze. But remember, you are Sylvaneth. So with Sylvaneth, you can pop off with your heal to stay alive if you need to. You can teleport out of danger if you need to. This guy, though, is a missile. Or a missile. Or a rocket. He's a nuke. You launch him in and you kill something. He is crazy at that because he has the Herald's Pride. So on top of a 4534 profile, which is wild, you get to move a friend. You use this, a mate gets to move 3 inches. Okay, if it's still that's kind of wild. Then, if the next melee attack action scores any hits or crits, allocate damage points to enemy fighter equal to the value of this ability, or deal flat 6 instead if the leader of this warband is next to that enemy fighter. That's incredible. On a double, you do 9 damage, basically, right? You can do, you can do up to 6 on the ability, then plus 3 that you need to land a hit with. Like, this profile, right? Like, if you're in combat swinging 4 to 8 times, and then you pop Herald's Pride, and you just chunk for an additional 6, that is devastating amounts of damage. For 165 points, that is incredible amounts of burst. You factor in that you're likely going to take Yularen, Master of the Paths, because the Endless Hunt is also really good. Endless Hunt means that for the rest of the battle round, every time Cullen or Lenwith use their abilities, he moves 6 inches. So this lad has wild amounts of mobility because he's moving 8 already, right? So he moves like 16 inches, they can move potentially another 12 inches on that same turn, with Cullen and Lenwith giving him a bit of a boost, which is really fun. Bearing in mind as well, I don't think Sylvaneth have many abilities that are really worth talking about, right? Like, you've got your teleport, you've got your net, it's kind of it. You've got the reaping, right? Like, there isn't really that much to talk about with Sylvaneth ability-wise. Getting 3 legitimately good doubles to actually like invest into, This, as taken as a 3-man unit, is 500 points, give or take a few points. And they give your warband a small unit of guys who work beautifully with each other. Lenwith is also really good. Again, 160, movement 8, 20 wounds. She is cheap, she is fast. Even as a pick by herself to do treasure running and stuff like that, she does great. I would still take a Skaith over her, but still, she's still a fantastic pick. Her range attack, 2324, is actually quite solid, especially when you factor in precision volley. Again, you get to move one of your mates 3 inches or 6 inches if Endless Hunt is on. You get +1 shot in your next missile attack action. And you can shoot into combat. And if your leader is in combat with them, you get a crit on a 5+. Like, shooting into combat is a really powerful ability in and of itself. The fact you're shooting into combat with 3 shots, not 2 shots, the fact you're critting on a 5+, you're likely hitting on a 5+ anyway. So look at this as like a 3, like a 3-3-4-4 in reality. Like, Lenwith is really interesting. She's just got good poke as well. When you factor in, right, you've got Yularin with his 2-4-2-4, Lenwith with her 2-3-2-4, throw in a Skaith maybe with his 2-4-2-5, you throw in an Anslane for 2-3-1-4, maybe an Ilthari for 2-3-3-6. It's a lot of numbers, I do apologize. That's a lot of ranged pressure that Sylvaneth can get on the board. It's not massively damaging, but it has a lot of poking potential. Your guys are fast. They're very slippery with teleports, with their movements. You can stay back and poke away, poke away, poke away. I had a game yesterday, a league game, into fantastic player. I've forgotten his name, sadly. I will get it up now, though, because I do not want to forget. Against a guy called Leno. Amazing player, played Seraphon, and it was Anslane, Skaith, and Ilthari managed to more or less kill a Croxigo, right? In one turn. I got very lucky, but it was in one turn. That's the kind of the level of range pressure just increases when you throw in a Yularin and also a Lenwith. It's a lot of fun. And also, as well as in general, Yularin's a solid piece in general. 4-4-2-4 in melee. 2-4-2-4 at range, movement 8, 22 wounds as well. Guy's durable. He's a nice little mobility piece who can take a hit, he can heal up, he can teleport, he can fight in melee, he can do things at a range, he can move incredibly fast with Endless Hunt, he can pass through enemy fighters. This is the 3rd instance of this, by the way. Games Workshop have been really hot on the and they can pass through enemy fighters aspect of the game. There's 3 of them now. With you've got the Bull Centaurs can do it, Von Grimms can do it, and so can Yularin. So these are all good treasure carriers, naturally, because theoretically, Yularin could pick up a treasure and then get catapulted away freely thanks to the Endless Hunt later on the turn. He's very slippery, this lad. With Endless Hunt on and like another 2 doubles in your pool, Yularin is devilishly tricky to deal with. And Cullen of the Axe. If you're going to take any of them like by themselves, I think Cullen of the Axe of Kurnoth is a potential replacement for a Kurnoth Hunter. Right? You tend to see 2 to 3 Kurnoth Hunters in any given Sylvaneth list. I think you will often see one of those Kurnoth Hunters replaced with a Cullen of the Axe. And in that instance, I am a huge fan of taking Skaith, and I will still take Skaith going forward. There's definitely a place where you take Cullen of the Axe and a Yularin, or Cullen Axe of Kurnoth and a Skaith together, and that's your mobility core for your Sylvaneth. And I think you could do a lot of really fun things with just 2 Centaurs, regardless of what they are. Any 2 would do. But I think Cullen will be the one you will see the most often. He is wonderful. See, this is what I mean. The Sylvaneth are supposed to have the dope tricks and be made of paper, and now we have that. The warband. Yes, exactly. And you can't ally this out. Again, this is what I love about the new additions to Warcry, right? The list building in Warcry is diverse enough as it is. We have all kinds of allies and things we can do. It's nice to see that some factions are just getting things for them. Okay, yes, you can ally out Yularen into anything. He is a hero. Okay, Yularen by himself isn't really worth taking out, right? If you're going to take a fast-moving Sylvaneth hero out of Sylvaneth, you take Skaith, because Skaith is cheaper and does more or less the same thing, right? In Sylvaneth, getting access to all three of them, it's beautiful. And yeah, Firelax, 100%. If I had a Cullen of the Axe, Cullen Axe of Kurnoth, Cullen of the Axe every time, Cullen Axe of Kurnoth, I would absolutely take him to Warcry in the West. I don't have one, sadly. I would drop my Greatsword immediately for Cullen Axe of Kurnoth. He's wonderful. He adds so much. The fact he adds a double, right? He adds a double to Sylvaneth, who, at least in my list, is just starved of useful abilities. He's a lot of fun. So I would love to see more of this guy. Great addition. What else did we get? We got more, I'm sure, than just that. Oh, we got new Chaos Dwarf stuff. We got Kamandora's Blades. Here we go. Can't decide who I love more, the Chemist or the Deer Boys. Yeah, exactly. They're both so much fun. So much fun. We've got Kamandora's Blades. I've heard some rumblings that people want to take Kamandora as a cheap ally in any Chaos War band, because there's 25 wounds for 90 points. That's a good price. That's a good price. The issue is she does nothing. Right? It's like the Battle Priest argument. The Ashen Elder, who is the only guy to buff attacks and strength of range attacks. Yeah, man, the Ashen Elder. And that's not faction locked either. There's a lot of faction locking in the game. Apart from a whole bunch of Hellsmith abilities. Their abilities are typically not faction. There are a few, but that one is not a faction locked one. They can put onto anything. The issue is there's not that many good range attacks in Chaos that I can think of off the top of my head, which kind of balances it out. Outside, of course, of the Hellsmiths themselves, who have some fantastic abilities. But Kamandora has been talked about a lot as an ally to take. She's the most... So this is the kind of thing I dislike about Warcry at the minute, is that we have these really fun picks in, like, the Null Chemist, in those Sylvaneth. And then people look at Kamandora and go, mint, I can take Kamandora as a 90-point wound carry. And it's just the least interesting thing anybody has ever said to me. Just ever. Oh shit, Rat-Ogres, you're right. You are yes, of course, the Rat-Ogre. And it lasts all game. Yeah, the Ashen Elder into a Rat-Ogre is actually insane. I can see that being a dangerous combo that's going to have people rather excited, for sure. But Kamandora, is it the battle priests in Cities of Sigmar are like, I'm going to take battle priests are just like cheap allies you can do to buff your numbers. I don't like it as a concept, honestly. I don't like Kamandora in that role either. She is just wounds. She brings nothing to the table outside of her warband. Yes, you get Bleed Them Slow on her as well. It's not that impactful, honestly, to bother taking her just for that. That being said, Bleed Them Slow is actually really fun. As an actual warband, Throck, Gristilla, Antrocrast, and Kanat, and Kamandora, of course, are a really fun little warband. Not as interesting as things we've talked about so far, but Bleed Them Slow and Eruption of Hate really give this like little chaff block some legs. Right, these are chaff that can swing up and deal damage just every turn. Just turn on turn on turn. and just chip away. And then the more things that are bleeding, the more attacks they all get because of Eruption of Hate. There's no range on Eruption of Hate, which is insane. So Kamandora pops that on a double, and then you're getting +1, +2, +3 attacks potentially on everybody in your Kamandora's warband, including Kamandora herself, for the record. Like, you are crit fishing at the end of the day, but that's your chaff suddenly being able to swing way up into things that shouldn't really have any right to sort of swing up into, right? Plus, of course, the turn-wide, impossible to remove bleed damage on Bleed Them Slow, which is a lot of fun as well. They're a fun pick. I can see them being taken in Khorne Mortals for sure. We have... I'm not going to spend too much time on the Zuldraka's boys. But they are really good. Really good. I don't think you would take them all. And I don't think they're needed necessarily for a competitive Hellsmiths list. I think you can absolutely run Hellsmiths without Zuldraka's boys. But that being said, they're pretty good. Namely, you have Zuldraka and Imnidrin together are quite a good combo because they can do tyrannic declarations to make all your guys potentially +1 toughness and also +1 on objectives with some stipulations. You've got access to Demonic Vigor on Moradok, and Moradok I think is going to be one of the guys you almost always take if you are running with Hellsmiths. Moradok is 5 points more than a regular dude. He doesn't have a shield, clearly, so he's only got toughness 4. His stats are the same otherwise. His ability, though, with Demonic Vigor is kind of wild. So you add +1 to critical attacks on your next attack action. That's fine. Because he now goes to a 2/4. Okay. If the ability is of a value of 6, you gain +1 crit, +1 strength, +1 attack. That's kind of cool too. So he goes to a 4/5/2/4. That's really solid. Hang on though, Demonic Vigor is just a demon point engine, right? But it's an ability. You can stack this with actual demon points. So if you stack him with 3 demon points and Demonic Vigor, he's getting +2 crit, +2 attacks, +2 strength. This lad, this little goober, is potentially a 5/6/2/5. 5/6/2/5 for 90 points with, some investment and a bit of luck on the value of that double. Moradok's kind of legit. Right, you set up Moradok, this guy walks in, shabam. He hits like a freaking brick. Importantly as well, funnily enough, so how demon points work is that you use demon points at the start of your turn, and your first attack that turn gets the buff. Whereas Demonic Vigor buffs your next attack. So how you can do this instead for a less bursty swing is if you're in a prolonged combat, Demon Point the first swing, Demonic Vigor the second swing. So you're still getting the full value of like a 4/5/2/4 on both swings. Moradok's really cool. He's a little ninja, is this guy. Torkar's fine. Like his little prevent reactions could be interesting. Grisk is a menace. He's at 75. He's very expensive. I don't think he's necessarily taken because of his points cost, but he can quite literally be unkillable. Right? He can just, if he gets hit by something, he doesn't die. He comes back. If he survives until the next turn, do it again. There's absolutely a world where you use Grisk, Tenacious and Cowardly. If he dies, and then you wait, sorry. If he dies, activate again, then Tenacious and Cowardly a second time, so he can survive 2 hits. You can totally do that. It's hilarious. Grisk has some weird plays. Yeah, for a 90-point warrior, he goes absolutely. He does go nutty. Moraduk's insane. he's absolutely bonkers. And Zuldraka is like the least interesting. His quad, he only gets the quad, I believe. He only gets the quad. He doesn't get the War Despots ability. Importantly, none of these people share the abilities of their base faction equivalents. That's really important to note. They do not share any of them. They have their own unique set. So, for example, Moraduk does not get to use Disciplined March. Zuldraka does not get to use Black-Hearted Conqueror. He does get Cruelest of Despots, which does let you, make people do doubles for free, which is kind of fun. That can be really good. Of course, these are all doubles, so getting this whole warband to use their doubles for free. Sorry, up to 3 of them can use their doubles for free, and they have that extra buffed value as well. It's really powerful. There's all kinds of fun things you can do here. 3 uses of yes, Beardo, completely. So on turn 1, if you don't, obviously if you get a quad, it's never ideal. Zuldraka makes that really good. Because like I said, 3 uses of Leave the Land in Ruin or the Despot double is really strong. Or even Disciplined March. Right, 3 uses of Disciplined March is really good. As a potential thing as well. Because Disciplined March, as I said before, Games Workshop are really hot on letting people move through engagements and through models. And you better believe that the Hellsmiths also have it on one of the best movement doubles in the whole game. Disciplined March. I'll zoom this right in. Disciplined March is wacky. Absolutely insane. +2 movement for the rest of the activation. That's a mega rush. It's +2 move until the end of the activation. And they can do this move even if they're within 1 inch of an enemy. Insane. They get to use some abilities, but missing the Hellsmith remark. Yeah. They don't have the Hellsmith's rune mark, which you're right. It's very silly. They are, however, literally under the Hellsmiths of Hashut tag. It's an oversight. It is what it is. I think if someone was to argue that these weren't part of the Hellsmiths, it's kind of fine. And also, Phalanx, they don't get to use any of them. There is... Oh, sorry. They get to use in theory, they could use Leave the Land in Ruin. Because I think that's the only ability that is just warrior locked. Yeah, that's it. And of course, Demonic Empowerment. They could do that as well, potentially. But yeah, for their unique abilities like Disciplined March or Gong, for example, they don't get to do. But Disciplined March is wild. I said, Naked Ginger Cult member, I am so envious of Disciplined March. It's a good ability. It's a really good ability. Hellsmiths as a whole just seem really polished. So I think one of the things that people have missed a little bit, maybe a little bit, right, is that they've looked at their stats and they've knee-jerked. Like, man, these stats just aren't that good. And they're right. Their stats aren't great. They've got some kind of... This is a bit too zoomed in. Their stats aren't the best. But also... The whole warband seems to be about mobility and one big hit. Because nearly everything wants to move then swing. Not swing twice. They don't want to be in prolonged combats. They can do that, but like it seems that they want to have like this alpha strike. Almost like get in, bash, hit really hard with 1, 2, maybe 3 units at a time. Disciplined March plays into this because they go a move in 5. They can ignore enemies when they're doing so, more or less, and then their battle trait is only on their next attack action, right? So your little guys get to move faster and then go kabamf for a big hit, right? That's one example. But then you've got Crush the Unworthy. You move, then you move, badoosh, big hit. Zealous Counterattack. You move, badoosh, big hit. Right? It's like everything does this to some degree. And it all plays into that the demon point system they've got as well. Then you factor in things like Black-Hearted Conqueror, and then suddenly the whole warband is shockingly mobile. Black-Hearted Conqueror, like, Discipline March is like one of the best movement tricks for a selfish ability, right? An ability that only works on the model in question. Because that's insane movement for a double, right? Crazy. But Black-Hearted Conqueror is possibly the best movement ability in the game because it has no range. It picks up to 3 models every time, so there's no randomness like Calthea Zandaya, for example, who has a random number of people. And then they all make move actions up to 3 inches. It's not a full move action, it's only 3 inches, and not like 9 on a centaur or 5 on a cowbot. But it's still a move action. This has so much play. So much play. The fact you can do this potentially 4 times in a turn. If you double War Despoted, you could absolutely Black-Hearted Conqueror 4 times in 1 turn. If you had the dice to do so. And, you know, more realistically, you're doing it twice a turn, especially on like turn 2, I would say, to get, you know, 3 or 6 guys or any number in between of those guys just moving up the board. No matter where they are. It's incredibly powerful. Deeming Smithing's a little bit naff, granted. But holy beans. Gong. Holy shit. Gong. Have you seen Gong? It has tempo issues, like all. Like, I'm going to spend a whole turn doing a buff. But Sacred Gong on a double is shockingly good. Like, disgustingly good. Because, remember, most attack buffs in Warcry are 3 inches. And they're triples. Okay? 3 inches and they're triples. Sometimes they're like 6 inches and they're still triples. But they require things like, I need to kill something first to get that buff. This is a 12-inch buff with no clause, like no activation clause. 12-inch buff. +1 attack. It's faction locked, importantly. But holy crap. Like, you don't need to be anywhere near the fight with that musician. He's 85 points as well. Again, most attack buffs are on like models that are like 150 plus points. Right? This guy's 85 points with a double that has a range 4 times the size of anything else for the most part. Incredible. You could have your centaurs like fighting on the like behind enemy lines, your dwarfs fighting on the front lines, and someone fighting in your deployment behind you, and this one gong buffs everybody there. The whole board gets buffed. It is silly. The only other double I know is, yes, the War Chanter is the other double, but I believe the War Chanter is only 6 inches, or 3 to 6, right? And not 12. 12! Insane. And so many things love this buff, right? Like, we talked about, like, how Moradok, right, is an absolute beatstick as a 90-point guy who wants to get buffed to all shit with Demonic Vigor and Demon points. Give him another +1 attack. Make him like a 6/6/2/5. Do it. Have a good time, right? Like, your basic guys, your basic lads go to 4 attacks. Potentially more with Demon points. Your Centaurs go to 6 attacks or 5 attacks on the Sentinels. More with Demon power points. More with Furnace blessings, right? Like, this shithead, the Dominator engine, goes to 5 attacks. Bearing in mind that Onslaught is now a triple as well, so there's less access to +1 attack in general. The game has less of it now, and you have it in a way that covers almost half the board. It's incredible. Like, The Dominator engine at 4836 is already a disgusting profile. A free +1 attack? What the fuck? Then Demon Power Points getting another +1 attack and crit and strength. Like, this guy can go up to a 6 attack beat stick. 6,937. And he can still onslaught if you had the points. He could be demon powered as well. He could go to a shit the bed. He could potentially go to a 7,1037. Right? Like, if you were to power this guy up a little bit. Wild. Insane. And that's kind of what the Chaos Dwarfs do, right? They funnel a lot of power into one thing, and that one thing moves, then swings with the force of a Thunderbolt and blows the fuck out of you, right? And the little guys can do it, right? The little guys can do it to a degree. They're not great at it because they've only got 2-3 or 2-4 damage, depending on if they're spears or if they're swords. They aren't the best at doing it, but they can definitely hold their own with the right resources. But you look at their big stuff. You look at their I love centaurs. I'm going to do a video on them. I love centaurs. I love anointed sentinels. I hope people do not sleep on them. These guys are kind of bonkers in their own unique little ways. It's very squishy. The cow dreadnoughts are very expensive. I think it's been very hard to run the cow dreadnoughts, but they're really fun. By the way, don't the new Chorfs smell like power creep? No. I actually disagree entirely. Because the initial reaction to Chaos Dwarfs was largely negative. Because their stats aren't up to snuff at standard. Okay? People don't like Infernal Cohorts. They don't like how expensive Hobgrot Vandals are. They don't like how expensive the Cow Dreadnoughts are. Stats-wise, they're a little bit under the curve everywhere. It's all about those buffs. It's all about the buffs, right? It's all about buffing them up with abilities and with demon power points and setting that up, right? In these, like, I'm going to spend my resources very carefully to make one thing go from, like, kind of below the curve to on the curve or above that curve. The Grot Bean movement 3 is very slow. I think it's very intentional. I think so. I've heard a lot of people really shit on the Hobgrot Vandal, and this to me comes from a position of people wanting to blandify the Chaos Dwarfs immediately. So the Hobgrot Vandal at 65 points is bad value. Okay, he's not good value. When you compare the Hobgrot Vandal to any goblin, any other Hobgrot in the game practically, apart from like the actual Cruel Boys Hobgrots, because they've got grenades, like these guys don't compare well to any of them, to any Grot equivalent or Goblin equivalent. They don't compare well. They're too expensive. They've got worse attack stats. They're slow. In some cases, worse defense stats. They're terrible. They're designed that way to stop people. In my eyes, they're designed this way so people don't just spam them. Okay? There's this wild concept, okay, that Gamers Workshop can actually design warbands for internal balance, right? Crazy, right? If they made Hobgrot Vandals too cheap, like 50 points, like their stats indicate, you would have warbands filled with Hobgrot Vandals and probably very little else. You would spam these out like crazy. You would have these being one of the go-to allies, ally caddies within Chaos. Right? People just, I'm going to throw allies in, take a bunch of Hobgrots. And then it's very clear they don't want that. They've made Hobgrots cheap enough that you can absolutely take them for what they are. They're there to bulk out your numbers a little bit. Right? Maybe have one, maybe have two. They're just there to sort of like make it a little bit easier to squeeze in some of your bigger things. Right? They're not there to be spammed. They're not there to allow Chaos Dwarfs to be this ally caddy warband, like Cruel Boys, for example, like any other super base warband. And that's what I think people have looked at. they've looked at Chaos Dwarfs and went, man, I can't just put my generic allies in here because their battle trait turns off, their whole thing's their battle trait, and their hobgrots are too expensive. So you can't do that. And boo-hoo. Like, I don't care. Right? Let people actually, like, you know, play the Chaos Dwarfs how they're intended. There's clearly an intent here. There's an intent on how they want the Chaos Dwarfs to be played, and it's not to have massive warbands spammed out with Hobgrot Vandals. It's not to have allies. It's to be a mix of the tools in here, and they are incredibly self-contained in a way that is unlike any other warband. And that's also okay. It's okay to have an ally carry warband. It's also okay to have a warband that is just not meant to have allies, that's meant to be with itself, to be isolated, to be what it is. And that's what these are. And I love that about them, because there's not really that in Warcry. Most people look at warbands as a way to put allies in. You don't see that with Chaos Dwarfs. And that's cool. Phylax. And also there are 65 points in our reaction wound batteries. Yes. Yes, of course. The reaction is also really interesting as well. So I think that the reaction also adds to their points, because Disposable Lackeys actually has a shocking amount of play. Like proper gamey gotcha punishment play. Because you can teleport your grots. And there are so many ways to make this just work to your advantage, because the downside is that your other guys react, not the goblins. So you are using resources to react. So you're using your better things resources to react to get your goblin into death range and take the hit. If the goblins, but you can use this in other ways. You can teleport the goblin, take the hit. If it survives, the goblin still has 2 actions left. Right? Potentially. Disengage, move to an objective. You can teleport. So it says here, okay, pick a friendly hobgrot that is visible to the attacker and within 3 inches of the fighter making the reaction. Okay, so here I'm gonna read it. I need to read it again. So you can make this reaction after you are targeted by an attack action, but before the hit rolls are made. Pick a friendly hobgrot vandal that is visible to the attacker and within 3 inches of the fighter making that reaction. Remove the vandal from the battlefield and set them up again within 1 inch of the fighter making the reaction, and as near as possible to the attacker. This works on ranged attacks. Okay? You can teleport your goblin to block range attacks. That's source number 1. You can teleport your goblin onto objectives or near objectives and then move twice to get to the objectives. You can have a goblin with no actions still be teleported and absorb a full slan blast on anything. Right? It is silly. And you can use this on anything from your little guys, like your regular little dwarfs, to your giant robot. Right? If they have like a gutload swinging in to your big ass cow dreadnought, that's dangerous. Teleport a goblin in and tank the hit, right? Or something silly. There's a lot of play to it, and I think the biggest play is tanking range attacks, which I don't know if people have missed that. Or if that's a misprint on Warcry. I'm actually going to look it up now because that could be a misprint on Warcry. But you can tank range attacks, which is very silly. Let's double check it. A null chemist blast. Yes, bearing in mind that your Hellsmiths, one of their best models is the Ashen Elder, who's a priest. The null chemist can delete this guy immediately. Not if you have a grot nearby. You can absorb it for days and have a good time. Let's get... Okay. Warcry. No, it's Warhammer Community. Right? Let's get... I want to double check this. Is it Warcry that's wrong? We will check. You absolutely can. Phylax, explain why not. Attack action. Okay. The Hobgrot has to be able to see the thing that's shooting you. Yeah. Within 1 inch of the thing making the reaction. That's not the enemy. That's you. Right? So you're teleporting to you. You have to end next to your guy. You're grabbing a goblin, holding him up as a slan shoots you, and he blows up the goblin instead. Yeah, like that's exactly how it works, dude. Like, Evangelis with one, yeah, like, there's the only thing the goblin has to be able to do is see the thing that's getting shot, see the thing making the attack. He doesn't need to be next to the thing making the attack at any point. He just has to move them. He has to teleport next to the guy reacting. The guy reacting is your guy. So, if you can see the guy shooting you, you're fine. Oh, but you can, potentially, depending on ranges. Because obviously, with range attacks, yes. If someone's attacking you in melee, okay, dude, there's so much more. Let's say, Phylax, as an example, someone is 2 inches away, okay, and they stab you with a spear. Teleport your goblin within 1 inch of you. They're now within 1 inch of the goblin. They attack the goblin. The goblin could survive. They now can't attack the first guy again because they're now engaged with the goblin. Come on. There are so many ways to run disposable lackeys and just completely balk things. So I might have said teleports to the attacker when I was talking about melee attacks within like a 1 inch attack thing. You can like teleport and then be next to an attacker, disengage, and then run off. But yeah, there are so many ways disposable lackeys works. It's crazy. Slan still has access to Cold-Blooded Commander. True, but also the Slan averages 6 damage. This guy's 8 wounds. So, he might not even get that free attack off. If he wants it off, he's got... There's a world where, if say, for example, the Slan fires at your random dude, you teleport a goblin in, tanks to hit, the goblin survives. Now the Slan has a choice. Shoot the goblin again to get Cold-Blooded Commander off, or shoot your guy again, at which point you could potentially react again and tank him with a second goblin. You could potentially tank him with a second goblin, right? So you could have two goblins nearby and tank a Slan twice with 2 different goblins and deny Cold-Blooded Commander both times. It's silly. It's very these are very sort of like fringe cases, but the reaction is legitimately powerful, really good, and it's the reason why you would take one Hobgrot Vandal. Flare Bloom guy, is it target enemies? So it's you target an enemy or a objective within 6 inches of you, and then everything within 3 inches of the objective or the target are -1 toughness. I'm guessing anyone not running Slan, yes. Okay, this Slan's not going anywhere. I think that the Slan is still a really powerful threat, and I think nothing really like the Null Chemist is a threat to the Slan, but I don't think one model existing in the game is going to like remove him from play, honestly. But Vexmore, I think Vexmore is going the way of the dodo. Although it's not. Is a target? Yes, because it doesn't say visible. I don't believe. I'll check that. Let me go back, you piece of shit. I'll check that for you, but I believe it doesn't say visible or other on that ability, Grumpy. Let's check this live. Come on. Remember when Iron Jaws died? Me neither, right? Yeah, nothing's dying. I'm going to explain why Vexmore hasn't changed at all in the grand scheme of things, or changed very little. Ooh. Okay, so Sparta's Flare Gun does not actually reduce the toughness of the target. So Sparta's Flare Gun, I think for me, is more so for hitting objectives. Hit the objective and debuff people. Got to go. Because the actual target does not get the -1 toughness. Because it has to be visible. You are not visible to yourself. So Vexmore. Okay, let's talk about Vexmore momentarily. He's on everyone's lips. Vexmore's gotten a nerf. The nerf is not that substantial. Right? I'll explain why. Vexmore never used Onslaught anywhere. Okay, like the change to Onslaught, it exists. It is a slight impact. Vexmore didn't Onslaught. Vexmore used his double to move into combat and swing once. That was Vexmore, in a nutshell. Vexmore didn't often swing twice. He was too slow to do that. And if you stood next to a Vexmore long enough for him to swing twice, then you are a silly, silly man. So the change to Onslaught literally has not impacted Vexmore in any meaningful way. Vexmore costing an extra 10 points because of the ferocity change. That has impacted Vexmore slightly. He's now 20 points more expensive than he was at the start of the year. He is now balanced, I think, at 200. Is it 200 points now? Which is how much is it? Yeah, he's 160. So at 200 points, Vexmore is completely fine. Is he as broken as he was before? No. Is he still playable? Absolutely. Does he still perform the exact same role? Yes. Do you ever want to fuck with him? No. Right, Vexmore's fine. He has achieved a state of balance. I would not worry. I think you'll see less Vexmores in the same way we see less Bomberoid Crushers because people knee-jerked away from them, then never went back. I think people will knee-jerk away from Vexmore, even though Vexmore is really solid. The best part about this change, though, for the game is that this comes off the back of the last FAQ. The last FAQ gave Chaos way more options within that points range. Within that like 180, 200 points range that Vexmore operates in, you have way more options now. So many more. And that opens up Chaos in new ways to play and build and use their allies. And Vexmore's additional nerf pushes more things into that limelight. It diversifies the ally pool whilst Vexmore still remains a threat. Vexmore still does the exact same thing Vexmore does. He controls space, and he will continue to do that. I think it's a very good balance change to Vexmore. And Onslaught has nothing really to do with it. So that's my 2 cents. I just noticed the Blood of the Bull Flamer ability is different from the... Yes! Haha! Yes. Beardo, so the named Chaos Dwarfs do not share any abilities with their unnamed variants, with the lone exception of Demonic Empowerment and Leave the Land in Ruin. Everything else they don't share, like, at all. So yeah, he can still turn off abilities though. Yes, so the named one turns off reactions, but you can turn off abilities if it's a 6/6 in addition. So his Flamer it targets a different thing. New KO and Centaur Elves as potential new allies for Vulcan Flameseekers. The new KO are too expensive. I think the Null Chemist might be a little bit too expensive because he's 280. He'll be dragging your model count down quite a bit, and you can't ally in the new flying dwarfs that aren't him. The new centaurs, probably not either, sadly, because these aren't Bladeborn. So you can only take Yularen. If you're taking Yularen, I would rather take Skaith, because Skaith's cheaper. And Skaith's always existed. I can definitely see them as allies. I just don't think they're going to be taken all that much, sadly. Beardo. Okay, I love that. Force people to give things up to use their Bladeborn. Exactly. And they're not Bladeborn, is what important to note. Let's talk about this other elephant in the room, right? The update actually did a lot of things right. Because, funnily enough, let's enter my second smug error for the stream. Everything that I predicted would be the interpretation from the mistakes in the last FAQ have been more or less confirmed in this FAQ. So, because it's common sense rules all, right? So, for example, the Pyregeists, they've changed it. So, of course, immolation classes the guy dying as dying. Of course it does. Are the new Underworlds fighters Bladeborn? No. Okay. Additionally, we can then extrapolate from this that because all the new additions also don't have Bladeborn anywhere, okay, that they also aren't Bladeborn. So they're not Bladeborn. Neither of the other stuff that added. So these are unique fighters for their respective factions. Huge. That's really good. The Knives of the Crone ritual ability, increasing on both damage characteristics per 1 point spent. Called that as well. Is Tick Tick a raised fighter? No, makes sense. Like, it's good stuff, right? A lot of the stuff's just been like it's been clarified because it wasn't entirely clear. But I personally thought, and I believe that the crew of Wild Dice also thought as well, that the intent was very clear. It's just been confirmed. I think it's great for the game, but it's confusing. It can be. I think it's not the smoothest introduction of a new type of unit in Warcry, but I think it's very good for the game. Like I was saying earlier, I think it's completely fine to have factions be unique, right? I think I don't want to paint or misrepresent anybody or people's thoughts on anything, but to me it feels like a lot of competitive Warcry's immediate response to anything is, how can I take this new thing and use this with all my, like, how can I ram this into my typical ally soup stuff? And that to me is just a really bland way of viewing any update. And we already have so many good ally options, and those ally options are vast and varied, and with the points changes are becoming more vast and varied without adding more Bladeborn to change that. Expanding factions instead means that it's given people a reason to run specific compendium warbands because they have these really cool unique tools, and I'm all for that. I'm at a stage of my Warcry career where I yearn for that kind of content, and that's what we've gotten, and I'm fine with that. Other people aren't. Other people are disappointed that the Hellsmith stuff are shut, are very ally averse. They're disappointed that we've gotten more Bladeborn that aren't Bladeborn. I can understand that. It just feels like, from the competitive stance, the immediate response to change is, how can we make this change the most boring version of this change imaginable? And that rubs me the wrong way. Grumpy Guard, I think my previous question will become my standard question after the new patch. It should. I can definitely see. Hold the phone. Has anyone tried Vulcan Flameseekers with a Slan? Hear us out. Like, Slan are good. Vulcan Flameseekers can whip the Slan to move into position to fire 3 times. Vulcan VFS cross Slan, new meta. If you take it in the Slan, Null Chemist is also an option. Your warband goes down to like a 7-man. It's kind of funny though, right? But I love Hellsmiths. I think everything that's been added to the new patch, bar maybe Kamandora's Blades, who are a bit more bland, have been great. I love Hellsmiths. I think there's a lot of play here. There's definitely ways to run these big cows. Do bear in mind the big Dominator engines are on 80mm bases. Just for context, an 80mm base is the same size as a Slan. Right? The Slan is huge. The Dominator engine is also quite tall. I don't think it's as tall as a Slan, but it's taller than most terrain in Warcry. It's a pretty big model in every dimension. This thing will struggle to get around the board with base size, with its physical presence. Right? This guy's huge, massive. He doesn't have fly. He's only movement 5. Guy's very slow. But the Dominator engine, my god, this thing's crazy, right? Get this guy, if you can get this guy either into their turn 2 deployment to tie up like 2, 3, 4 guys, or get this guy into the middle of the board. Holy shit. Who threatens? Like, I don't think, unless it's a monster, right? I don't think, and even then, right, I don't think a monster would ever Dragon Maul a Dominator. I think if they did that, that thing dies immediately. But like, there's not many things that can stand toe to toe with a Dominator engine with Bane Maces and come out on top. Because 40 wounds, toughness 7, everything in the game bar Vexmore hits you on a 5+. Most things, even when blessed with strength, will still only hit you on a 5+. Okay? And the rest hit you on a 4, right? His 4-8-3-6 profile is incredible. So that's the equivalent, for the record, of a 3-8-4-8. Like they're basically this mathematically they end up being about the same. Although 4 dice is typically more reliable on the roll than 3. 3's a little bit janky on averages. So more dice means you're getting a more reliable 4-8 profile. Functionally, range 2 means he's got a huge 80 mil base. Range 2, he covers the whole universe, and he can buff himself. Holy god, can he buff himself? Demon points, Ashen Elder, straight up onslaught. He can debuff attacks, right? Like, what the fuck? And like, he's hard to kill. Toughness 7, he's strength 8. He wounds everything in the game on a 3+. Like, you get him into position and people will have to stay away. They can't threaten his space. He's got a 7-inch, 8-inch threat range. He will smash you into the dirt if you go anywhere near him. If he gets somewhere, that's his space. Stay away. Like, he ain't dying, let's be fair. And if you try, he'll kill you. So he's horrifying. He's just so slow. He's so clunky. And the engine with the immolation cannons, same deal, but he has a better threat range, right? So instead of having like an 8-inch threat range, he's got a 10, 11-inch threat range with a rush, right? And he averages 8 damage a shot. So if you get within his 5-inch bubble, you're looking at taking 16, spiking to like 20 damage from this guy just by burning you alive. Okay. I think that they've both got play. I think that the main concern I have with both of them is that the Dominators might just be a noob trap. Right? I think, like, there's the concern that they're so big and so clunky that if you take them, you just will not get enough value out of them because you can't get where you need to go. And they're a third of your warband's cost. So you're really cutting into your warbands when you take them. That being said, though, it is not the end of the world because you can absolutely build lists around them. So I've actually got a list. I've got a few lists. That's a weird null chemist. He is quite null chemisty, isn't he? Martin, how's it going, man? Picking some cohort right now. Show me some dwarf good times. We are all about the dwarfs right now. The dwarfs are really fun. So I'm gonna get this. I've wrote them down. I'm just gonna load them up and I'll punch them into Warcry as well whilst we're here. To quote one of my favorite videos of yours, if you can move them around easily, you aren't playing Warcry right. Did I say that? I agree with that. 100%. I often can't remember what I ever say, but that does sound like me. But it's true. If you can move around an 80mm based model without fly on with a physical presence as like large as this model, easily, you are not playing Warcry right. You need to up your terrain game. You need to move to the UK. So let's sort some lists out. Okay, so if I was to run a Dominator engine, because I think everybody wants to run a Dominator engine. Okay, Crew Boys Gnash Tooth, love the good dog, horrid base. That Gnash Tooth is humongous. It's oval, which is arguably even worse. It's a massive base that's oval. Terrible. So of course we start with the Dominator engine. Okay, we're going with a Dominator list. Let's take the Bane Maces. I think that people will likely take the Immolation Cannons more often. I'm just a sucker for a big melee smashy guy. Like, fuck the cannons. Like, I want this guy just to be a big dude who can punch people. That's all I care about. We'll go with this guy. You can change to your heart's desire. A must take, I think, in any list is the War Despot. The War Despot is way too powerful to ignore. T5, 25 wounds, range 2, 4424. That's a really good melee profile, really good defensive profile, and one of the best abilities in the whole game. Hardy, you take it because Blackguard Conquest Insane. Sorry, before I go any further, one thing, I don't know if people have talked about this before. I'm not always plugged in to what people say online. The biggest advantage of a Dominator engine. Okay, here is out. The biggest one. And to a degree, Bull Centaurs and Sentinels are on big bases too. The Dominator engine, with his massive base, okay, is the best model in the game to use Leave the Land in Ruin. If you want to hit as much terrain as humanly possible with the most, with the least amount of dice used, the Dominator engine does it. Right, on turn 1, you can deploy this guy. Remember, his base is so large and so unwieldy, he might not be able to fit in your deployment. You can cheese this so you can make sure he does not fit in your deployment. You can deploy him then further forward and get into the ideal position where there's as much terrain around him as possible. Pop, Leave the Land in Ruin. I have done a example, a test of this on a random TTS map. Okay, an 80mm base with a 3-inch bubble around him covers like a quarter of. It feels like a quarter of the board. It's huge. It's disgusting how much space it covers. I hit 7 bits of terrain. 7. With 1 double on this guy. Okay. I then took the piss. I then waited and then moved and then did it again. By the end of turn 1, I had hit 10 pieces of terrain with Leave the Land in Ruin. That's 10 demon points per turn. And there is no way you are going to reasonably do that as efficiently as with the Dominator engine. His base covers, his size hits so much terrain. It is hilarious. He is a generator of demon points. He is incredible for it. So that's something to bear in mind as a huge strength, is that he will desolate the whole board by turn 3 if you want to go down that path. So you take the War Despot, the engine. For me, I think you also take an Ashen Elder. This will pull the list down to a 7-man by the end, but I think the Ashen Elder is very much a worthwhile pick. I really like to take a Blunderbuss in every list. So take a Blunderbuss as well, because I think the Blunderbuss is just too good not to take. You take a Musician, because again, he's too good to ignore. You take a Spear, because I prefer Spears personally. And then you take a Hobgrot. And this is the list. It's exactly 1,000 points. Okay? And it has all of the toys you would want to see inside of a Hellsmith's list, bar Centaurs. If you're taking a Bull, so a Dominator engine, I don't think you can afford Centaurs. I think they're too expensive at that point. You can, if you drop Eldars and you drop Blunderbusses, you can absolutely fit them in, but you're going to lose on other toys. You're going to lose out on like 2 toys to take 1 more toy. I think it's not necessarily worth the investment. But it could be. That speed's very important. It could absolutely be worth the investment. So it's worth experimenting with. But for me, I'd be like, cool, this is the kind of list. You've got the War Despot to move things around. You've got the Blunderbuss to work with the Ashen Elder combo. So you buff up the Blunderbuss with Forge Furnace. This guy goes to a 3/6 to 4 demon points. He goes to a 4/7 to 5. Get even crazier, pop Hateful Hail. You then crits automatically on like one of his shots. Like, you snipe some guy. Potentially 2 guys if you're lucky. You buff this guy up and you just start firing. Kill 1 guy, kill 2 guys. He's kind of bonkers. You've got the Musician for the AoE bubble play. You've got the movement on the Despot, the area control of the Dominator. And you've got like a Vandal to do some cool Vandal teleporting and a Spear to do some stabbing. I think if you wanted to take a Dominator engine, something along these lines is probably the way to go, because you still hit 7. 7 is a little bit small and you might fall into some issues, but you're going to struggle to get a big list that I think is good and interesting. When you take the Dominator, he is so expensive, he will be sort of like the focal point of your list, and you want to have as many cool things as possible while still maintaining a model count. And I think this does that quite nicely. But if you weren't going to take a Dominator, so my ideal list would be like something like a Despot. Let's take like a Sentinel maybe. We'll take a Blunderbuss, a Flame Hurler, a Gong for sure, and like I'll put in Blades here. You can whatever take Spears. This is 8-man. So 8-man, I would give +1 crit to the Sentinel in this case, because the Sentinel going to a 2/5 profile is devilish. It's a devilish profile. Of course, you can get Demon pointed up to go to a 5/6 2/6. That's a profile and a half. Holy shit! Right, this guy can hit. By the way, this guy can hit on 2s. If you haven't caught it, he's one of the only models in the whole game. I think maybe the only model in the whole game with a straight up add +1 to hit rolls. So this works on both ends of the spectrum, for the record. So he hits easier. So his 2s becomes 3s functionally. So he hits on a 2+, and his crits, he crits on a 5+. Right, so he crits on a 5+, and he hits on a 2+. So he runs in, protects the guy, and then swings in with his potentially 5 attacks, strength 6, 2/6 damage, and he's popping off crits more likely, and he's hitting hyper reliably otherwise. He is a little menace. That range 2 is beautiful. It means he doesn't have to use Zealous counterattack. He can stay back and just poke away and support your guys. It's a good time. The rest of this list, of course, again, the War Despot is too good not to have. The only thing this list is missing is an Ashen Elder. But to take an Ashen Elder, you need to sacrifice other things. And I don't want to, is how that works. If you wanted to drop the Flame Hurler, drop the blessing, take an Ashen Elder. You are at exactly 1,000. So you can absolutely take the Ashen Elder if you want one. Don't worry. But War Despot, Sentinel, Blunderbuss for the snipes, Flame Hurler because it's really good. Then 3 guys and a gong. You have just a bunch of dudes who are surprisingly quick. You've got some good range threat, some good projection on both range and with your Sentinel. You can tank for days. It's a good time. This is sort of like the general way how I would want to try and build one. I don't know if it's going to be massively competitive, but to me, this is sort of like how it's coming together. It might be best to drop the Flame Hurler for an Ashen Elder just so you get those amazing plays with that Furnace Blessing. Furnace Blessing, the Sentinel, the War Despot, or the Blunderbuss are all fantastic plays, right? That's such a powerful buff. Especially when combined with Demon Points, right? It's like Furnace Blessing's really powerful, but it goes to wacky levels when you factor in Demon Points too. And you can get to, you know, the War Despot, right? 4-4-2-4. It's not too shabby. Yeah, but what if it was a 6-6-2-5? Oh shit, that's kind of insane now, right? Right? You know, the Sentinel, you know, 4-5-2-4. That's fine. But again, 6-7-2-5, even better. Yeah, it's kind of bonkers. Beardo, War Elder, Ashen Elder, a Bull Centaur, 2 Flamers, a Gong, a Cohort, a Vandal. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, 8 man, that's great. There's definitely a world where you take 2 Flamers. The Flamers are really good. There's definitely a world where that exists, and of course, you've got you've taken a Hobgrot in there as well. I think Hobgrots are a great call. I think let's get that list actually punched in because that list looks really solid. Let's go. Why is it go away? Thank you. So what's Despot, Elder, classic combo. You've got a Bull Sentinel, got 2 Flamers. I believe it was Gong, Vandal, and I assume a regular bloke, right? So like we'll put in a regular dude. Got 20 points left over. +1 strength on the Bull. Here is out. This is a great list, actually. So this is largely what I was saying before, although with some changes. So you've taken away the Blunderbuss, added an Eldar, taken and taken a Grot and an extra Flame Hurler. Love it. You've got the Bull. You've got some ranged. Ranged is really. I think there's some really good ranged options within this faction. For me, I don't think the Bull Centaur needs strength. I think the Centaur needs crit. So what I would do in this list would be, let's say we drop the blade for a spear, right? You've got 20 points left over. I would put +1 crit on the Centaur and +1 crit on the Infernal Cohort with Spear or the War Despot. Either or, doesn't really matter. Despot for, stacking mob damage on your main piece. So the crit going to a 2-4 is solid because you're getting strength anyway from demon points. You're getting strength from the Ashen Elder. The weakest stat on the Bull Centaur is offensively is his crits at 2-3. He's too flat on his curve. You give him +1 crit bless. He then goes to a 5-4-2-4. With demon points, he goes to a 6-5-2-5. With Ashen Elder, he goes to a 7-6-2-5. And then theoretically, if you're going really crazy and you had the dice to do so, with his own ability, is going to 8-6-2-5. Right? And when I'm talking about Chaos Dwarfs, they love a good wombo combo. So this sounds kind of wacky to pull off. 3 demon points and 2 triples. Kind of wild. It is kind of wild. It's not always going to get pulled off. But if you can pull off these kind of like wacky wombo combos, that's kind of like the draw of the faction. Right? Is pulling off these, I'm going to take this kind of middling stat and then just infuse ungodly amounts of chaos into him and launch him at you. And this works with everything, right? Like it's very silly. Realistically, it would be like, I'm going to use demon points plus his triplet by itself and not use the Ashen Elder, but you're still going to like 7 attacks in that case, and you're still going to strength 5 and crit 5 at that point. 7-5, 2-5 is still a wild profile, even without the Ashen Elder to make it better. Like it's so silly. And demon points, again, demon points are so easy to generate. Like, they're so easy to generate because you have, in this list specifically, you have a Bull Centaur. The Bull Centaur's base is big. It's really big. So on turn 1, right, deploy him next to terrain. Boom, explode, burn terrain, hit like 3, 4, 5 bits of terrain. Very doable. I've tried it before on a standard terrain board before. You can hit like 3 to 5 bits of terrain from deployment sometimes. Then the Bull Centaur then waits, moves, and does it again and hits like another 3 or 4 or 5 pieces. So you're getting like 6 to like 10 bits of terrain on turn 1 just from the Bull Centaur, not including other bits you're picking up elsewhere on the board. Like turn 1, like War Despot's really cool. Like, there are definitely times you want to use Black-Hearted Conquerors to move around the board. There are times this exists. But on turn 1, for me, it's all about that reckless running forward and just tagging as much terrain as effectively as possible, so your turn 2 is set up for just the most amount of points imaginable, and then you never use that ability again. Right? If you've got like 6 to 10 points, like, you are good to go. It's so much fun. Joe, did they change Rampage? Yes, Rampage is gone. It doesn't exist. It's now Reckoning. It is just Rampage, but you can only do it if half your warband's dead. And it does not work on range attacks anymore, for the most part. It does, technically. It's just far more restrictive. Like 99% of the time, range attacks can't do it. So it's been nerfed heavily. It's been made into a catch-up mechanic, and it's taken away some of its power. So that is huge. You'd love to see it. Christoph, talking about one-board combo, not so big on the chore for myself. Absolutely hyped for the Demon Smith, though. Looking forward to playing him in my Rotmire Creed so much. Oh my god, I didn't even think of that. You are so right. The Demon Smith. Hot diggity damn. That -2 on a double. You are so right with that. That didn't even cross my mind. -2 on a double and then slamming in with lethal injection. This is the cheapest, and the model's cheapest chips. It's 125 points, right? So it's the cheapest way to tank toughness for that killer injection. That's so good. That's such a good combo. I love that too. I'm all for that. You've opened my eyes to the Demon Smith as an ally potential. Ziggy, I really hate trying to get the free mini from my local Games Workshop. Yeah, I've never gotten one. So that's a lie. I've gotten one from Warhammer World because Phylax was there as my emotional support model gear. I've done it myself before. The Null Chemist can still rampage pretty well. The Null Chemist can. Yeah, like the restriction on range attacks is that you've got to be within 1 inch to fire. So if you've got a 0-inch minimum, you can still do it. It's just fairly unlikely you'll be able to pull it off in most cases, because your ranged guys tend to be a little bit further back. So, good change. Games Workshop Leicester, that's good. That's good to know. I'm pretty sure that my Games Workshops are all fine for doing it. I'm just like personally averse to like give me free things. In person, I'll email and ask for free things all the time. Hence Malifaux and Warcry. But in person, man, it's too awkward for my little soul to handle. But I think that's Chaos Dwarfs, right? I think was this this is Beardo's list, right? I think Beardo's really gotten nailed a super solid list here. I like blunderbusses. I would love to see a blunderbuss here because the blunderbuss works so well with the Ashen Elder. But actually, this list is really solid. You've got points for crits. You've got a centaur. Love to see a centaur. Those 2 flame hurlers, the gong. It's got all the toys you want to play with. Like, it's a good time. And I love Chaos Dwarfs. They're so much fun. They've done a lot to reignite my passion for the game. They've done a lot in addition to the new Caradon, in addition to the new Sylvaneth. A lot of good's been done in my eyes to revitalize some of the factions I really want to play, and in general my love of the game. Christoph, let us get that list punched in whilst we're here. So we've got a Rotmire. Rotmire, of course, you take the Witherlord. Which takes some Mire Folk. 3 Mire Folk, I assume the cheap ones. 1, 2, 3. A bloated one with net. That's the best one. Bloated one with net. A Demon Smith. A Mire Folk with spear. Yes, this guy. I couldn't find it. 1 Spear Boy. And a Varangard. Ooh. Varangard. I never know which one. I don't run Varangard. Like, what's the Varangard people run? Is it the ensorcelled weapon one? I assume it's the more expensive one. It fits. I love that list. Funniest thing with Demon Smith can heal. Wow, it can. Terrifying. The combos. Christoph, you absolute monster. How diggity down. Yes, you've got the Demon Smith comboing with 2 things out of action. That's kind of spicy. The -2 toughness or the plus the 3 health heal in the Varangard. You've got a net. You've got speed. You've got 8 man. You've got burst. You've got the Varangard. It's a good time. It's a real good time. Ziggy, I didn't realize Warcry already updated. It hasn't fully. They've added in the Hellsmiths. They haven't added in anything else. So the new KO aren't in there yet, for example. Okay, Beast Knob, Bolt Boy Boss, a Tank Hold Trogoth, Shank, Heck the Howler, Gripper, Ojet. Okay. That looks terrifying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, a 6 man. It's a little bit small, but it's got a lot of kill in it. Like, Joe, that's kind of spicy. I believe that's 6 man. But getting the Beast Knob in there for big smash. You've got Bolt Boy Boss in there for the range projection. The Dank Hold for control and murder. You've got the Shank there for control. That's a funny list. I can see that doing well. There's a lot of threat in there. A lot of threat. The list building portion of the stream is everyone's favorite. It's 7, even better than Joe. That looks great. I thought it was 6 when I looked at it initially, but if it's 7, even better. Love to see it. I love list building. I love a new FAQ coming out and opening up list building in fun ways. Whilst I'm here, I'm going to throw in my Sylvaneth list. I wish I could run in time for Warcry in the West. Alas, I don't have the time to buy it, build it, paint it, really. I'm already massively behind on the things I currently have for that event. But the list I would run, I can't actually put it in here. It does not exist. I believe it was like a net and this. I think it's this. My god, the Flamer can turn off Dragon Maul. It can. The Flamer is great. The ability to turn off abilities is crazy powerful. It's also super reliable. It needs to land a hit, but you're getting 6 dice to do it. Like, on average, you will hit anything, right? Like, the one time you'd hit them with 6 dice. Super reliable. Turn off Calthea, turn off Wa, turn off Dragon Maul, turn off whatever the fuck you want. Very powerful. So I can't actually punch in the rest of the centaurs because it's not in Warcry yet. Unless it has been added at the bottom. It has not. This is super simple though. It's Skaith the Huntsman, Yularen, Lenwith, and Cullen, the 3 new centaurs. Ilthari, because with Rampage gone, I want a quad. And this quad is really good. The Reaping is very powerful. A Net, an Archer, and a Teleporter. And that's an 8-man list. It has 4 movement 8 pieces. It has 1, 2, 3, 5 ranged pieces with Skaith, Lenwith, Yularen, and Ilthari. Are all ranged pieces. And Anslane. It's still all in factions. You've got that net. So that free teleport. You've got the teleport, the Tree Revenant. You've got the net in here. It feels like a really tricky list to play because it's a little bit squishy and the damage output is quite low because your only real reliable damage comes from Cullen, the Axe of Kurnoth. But his ability is so strong that it could kind of make up for it. Hyper fast with Yularen's abilities as well. This list, the 4 Centaur plus Ilthari list, has potential just to be, which is all I really care about. Not having a Kurnoth Hunter at all in the list is a little bit scary because they're such a good fallback unit to just to support like the core of your warband. It's just big burly tree works so well. But on the flip side, having so much speed and threat projection has its own value that I think this list can really leverage with and the boys. And I assume Len is one of the girls. So it's a good time. If only the I've been tempted for days to pick it up. Well, yesterday and today, to pick it up and get this list made and ready to go. But I can't justify it. And as time goes on, it gets even harder to justify as time runs short before the event. But I am so close to playing and picking up the Spitewood set because it gets those 3 centaurs, but it also grabs us the dwarfs who are mostly, if not all of them, really good anyway. So it's a thing. I am currently on a fence about that. But Sylvaneth got real spicy real quick. Beardo, wait, sorry, I know we made it all their own warband. They're not. So I've got it up here already. Oh, the stream's getting choppy. On my end, it looks like it's fine. Let us know if it continues to be choppy, and I'll see what I can do. But all my bars are in the green. So from my end, it should be fine, theoretically. Whilst I'm here, let's find them again because I've went too far. I delved too greedily and ended up in the wrong place. Here we go. So they don't have the Hellsmiths of Hashut Runemark, which is clearly an oversight because they're literally under the Hellsmiths of Hashut. Little tag here. I think that's enough to sort of like convince me that they are not their own warband. That and the fact that they're also not 1,000 points. when all taken, so that they can't actually be ran as a typical warband in that way. So as intent, I think they're intended to be part of Hellsmiths because of just this bit, which prefaces editing perspective, it looks like they've just put this rune in the wrong place and then forgot to put in the actual rune. It's all very silly. Rune marks are very silly. What is a Warcry FAQ without some annoying little formatting issues? We all hate it. It is what it is. I think the intent's very clear, and I don't see anybody. I don't think any reasonable person would argue otherwise in this case, simply because it's right there. It's not a good look though, right? Like this, the confusion it causes by not having the rune mark front and center is just a pain, right? It's a pain to pass new rules when the rules aren't correct, right? It's annoying, but Games Workshop. The audio keeps being weird. I don't know how to fix that. Honestly, like I said, all my bars are showing fine, unless I'm talking too loud and it's literally popping off the noise filter. I've changed some of my settings in my audio. It should hopefully help. If not, I apologize. I don't actually know how to fix that. Like how technically light engine harness doesn't work. Technically, yes. Technically, but also I don't agree with that take. So let's have a look. This fighter makes a bonus move action of 3 inches. If they're within 1 inch of enemy fighters, they instead make a bonus move action of 10 inches and can pass through enemy fighters. So when it comes to this, it does say bonus move action, right? Which is awkward. The fact they can pass through enemy fighters when they do so, like, rules as written, you could absolutely argue it doesn't actually work, right? Sure. But also, like, specific versus general, right? Like, I think this last line is enough to really show intent. And this whole thing here looks, it could even be a strip typo, because it wants you to disengage. It's what it wants to say. Okay? And if you disengage, you can't fly. Right? So it wants you to make a disengage action of 10 inches, okay, while still allowing you to fly. And this is how they've done it, and it's not perfect. You're not being nitpicky. Right? You're not being nitpicky. You are entirely correct. It's not well written at all. Rules as written, you could totally argue this does not work. I think the intent is very clear, and when you look at it from the greater context of the game, you can see what they're trying to do. They just haven't done so effectively, because, like I said, you can't disengage with a fly move. So that 10-inch move would be kind of awkward to do if you can't fly, but you can do a pseudo fly because of this bit here, but this bit here is not even required because you have fly and you aren't disengaging anyway. So of course you can pass through enemy fighters because you're literally flying over them. Like, there's so many layers of this desperately trying to work in a certain way, and it just isn't doing it. I think it's meant to be a bonus disengage action of 10 inches. right? So you can't fly, but you can pass through enemies. However, up here, it's meant to be a bonus move action, right? I imagine if that was changed to disengage, it would work flawlessly, I think. Sylvaneth is worded like that too, but the Hellsmiths is worded correctly. Yes, Hellsmiths have the best wording of it. Endless Hunt is not necessarily meant in the same way, though, because it allows you to move through enemy models regardless of engagement. So you can just, it's as if you've got a limited version of fly. Right, so you can move through enemy models, but you can't ignore terrain with the Endless Hunt. So you're like fading through models. You don't have to be engaged. It might allow you to move out of engagement with a move action, potentially. Like it's kind of awkward. Of course, you've got two variants of this within Hellsmiths. You've got the Disciplined March, and you've got the Bull Centaur's ability, both of which do very similar things. And I think only Disciplined March really nails what this one's trying to do. I think. It's all very silly. And it will cause confusion, but at the end of the day, I think when it comes to this kind of thing, like, rules as written is usually like the gold standard for rules decisions. But honestly, like, sometimes you like, especially with like the frequency of Warcry's updates being fairly low, and the frequency of like little blemishes in their editing, like, common sense has to prevail sometimes. And I think in this case, like, the intent is so clear. It's so clear. If a TO was to argue otherwise, like, of course, like, agree with what the TO says. But, like, come on. Come on. Reasonable minds and all that, right? Like, it's very obvious what it wants to do. And I think it'll be a bit foolish to argue that you can't do this part of the ability in the same way that, like, at one point there was a debate on whether or not you can't rampage if you're already in combat, right? Because rampage was make a move action and then make an attack action. Well, if you're engaged in combat, you can't make a move action, therefore you can't make an attack action afterwards, because of the inclusion of then. So if you can't move, then you can't attack. You have to move to do it. And that's not how it's played. But there was a massive debate on whether or not Rampage could be used if you're engaged to get an extra attack, right? Like, it's all silly. Like, rules as written is only where intent is not clear. Yeah. Like, I think it is rule broken? Does rule not work? Why would they ever publish a rule that doesn't work? Now we go to intent. Is the intent clear? It's painfully clear. So, oh wait, correct. I decide it's a good thing the power will not go to my head. As the UK's biggest Warcry tournament organizer, Firellax has the final say on most events in the UK, I guess. And he says it works, so it works. Oh yeah, Storm Up too. I now remember that. Yeah. Storm Up, holy god, right? The arguments, I was fighting alone for a long time on how Storm Up works. It took a lot of arguing on Discord, making a whole video on it at one point, or a video dedicated to it at one point, and just a whole lot of just arguing as to how Storm Up works. and the argument that you could like make multiple groups. I'm gonna get the ability up because so stupid. It's a great ability, but people are really desperate to make this ability broken as fuck. Sum up. Where you at? Here we go. So this is the ability here. People were desperate, or some people were desperate, I should say, to take this ability and then bad faith it, so you can make multiple groups of dice and use single dice multiple times to go like, oh, I've got a 2 and a 3, but this honestly, God, it was like I can't remember how they were doing it. Like the logic was so balked, but it ended up that if you took it to the logical extreme, someone did it in the comments. It's like, cool. The logic that people are using, if taking to the actual to their logical extreme, came up, and I was like, cool, you can do like 200 damage with that. And I was like, what the fuck? It made no sense. It got FAQ'd and added to make a single group. Frankly, it didn't need that, because rules as written to me was very clear. It wasn't even rules as intent. Like, it was rules as written. It was incredibly clear on what I want you to do, but people were kind of bad faith in it a little bit for a while. So yeah, it was a weird time. And Jags the Bleeder. Believe it or not, right? Jags the Bleeder is still contested. Right? Like, this hasn't been fixed, right? Like, hey Baz, hey Baz, I missed your hand wave. How's it going, man? So believe it or not, Jags the Bleeder is still contested. People still argue Jags the Bleeder doesn't work. I'm going to read it because it hurts my head thinking about it. But so a fighter can only use this ability if an enemy fighter was allocated damage points by an attack action made by them this activation. Badoosh. Full stop. Roll 8 dice for each wound allocated to that enemy fighter at the end of the battle round. For each 4+, do 1 damage. So, Beardo, that's the thing. It is clearly written, right? Like, I don't understand. Like, I struggle to understand the counter argument. So, the counter discussion argument for Leave You Bleeding is that, do you count all of the damage you've taken in the game up until that point, and then roll a dice, and for every 4+, do 1 damage? Okay. Or is it just the damage from Jags the Bleeder or whatever else, right? Clearly, it's all the damage they've taken that game, right? So if you've taken 20 damage, you're taking 20 dice rolls of bleed damage, right? That's how it works. Is it like, it just is what it is. I don't understand. Like, for me, so the both kind of hit the same sort of like nail on the head. So people are concerned, I think, that Leave You Bleeding rules as written is too powerful. Okay, so it can do too much damage, but it's meant to be a coup de grace, right? The more wounded you are, this guy comes in, he fucking disembowels you, you bleed out and die, right? Like, it's meant to finish off things with lots and lots of wounds. It's meant to be like a big old explosion piece. Super cool. The concern, I think, is that it's too powerful, and because it's so powerful, they're trying to justify a way to make it weaker by going with intent. On the flip side, when it comes to sum up, I think the concern there stemmed from the fact that on a triple, sum up can actually fail. It can do no damage. And that concern led people to go, well, rules as written isn't good enough. Clearly, it's intended to do damage this way. And I think both stem from similar but opposite. But I assume that the bleed damage is dealt by the bleeder. What? I don't even know. Now that's I assume so. Like, I think when it comes to Sum Up and Leave Them Bleeding, they both come from the same place, and that's a concern for balance. Whilst ignoring the fact that in Sum Up's case, the concern that it's actually bad, which it's not, but it's bad, rules as written, meant that it was wrong. Okay? And Leave You Bleeding comes from, it's powerful, that can't be right. It must be intended this way. When in reality, that's not the case, and neither of those apply to something like the jetpack for KO, which is, it actually doesn't work. That's where rules as intent works, right? Like, when it comes to, like, oh, well, let's actually interpret this. What's the intent of this? Well, this like, Leave You Bleeding works, Sum Up works. You just use what it says. But with the backpack, the engine harness, that doesn't work at all. Well, then you have to use intent at that point. And the intent is incredibly clear on that case. So it's kind of weird, right? It's very weird. He hits it so hard that blood explodes out of all the earlier wounds. Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? It's almost like he's sort of like, he's styling on you, right? Like, imagine... anime protagonist, right? Like, he pulls out his katana, right? It flashes, he puts it back, then like every wound that's on that model like opens up again, and as his sword clicks back into the hilt, it all explodes out into a comical display of violence. That's how I see it. Jags is actually a anime protagonist samurai in disguise. Lol, as in only his damage counts and causes the bleed? No, Phalax, all damage taken for the whole game. It's all damage for the whole game. So if you've taken 40 wounds on a Chimera, you roll 40 dice. As long as Jags deals 1 point of damage with his attack, then yeah, you weep the fuck out and you explode the fuck out of them. So if Jag stabs a Chimera for 1 damage, but the Chimera has taken 39 wounds prior, at the end of the battle round, you roll 40 dice. Yeah, and you know, I've talked to it's another one of the things, right? Like when you go to Warhammer World and you talk to the tournament organizers, you can even talk to the bloody fucking rules writers, right? Like some of the actual rules writers for Warcry play in tournaments at Warhammer World, right? This actually came up in one of our games. So I asked the bloke, he was like, "No, that's how it works." Like, it's like, it's one of those things, like, it's never been FAQ'd, right? Because it doesn't need to be, right? As far as they're aware, it works perfectly fine because it works how it's read, and it works fine. It is what it is. It's I don't know. It's one of those weird things. I think when it comes to rules as written, rules as intended, it's a tricky balance. It's a tricky balance as to when are you trying to change the rule to fit your vision of what the rule is and apply balance to a degree. 'Cause I don't think Leave Your Bleeding is unbalanced, right? Like, let's be real. Have we ever seen Jags the Bleeder get called an OP power piece? No. Like, it's a powerful ability on one model who's like 90 points with 15 wounds. Like, who cares? He's not breaking the game. He's been out for like a year and a half, right? It's just not an issue. So it's between sort of like, you know, having balanced concerns and then tweaking them with what you think the intent is for balance, and or looking at a broken rule that doesn't work and going, actually, let's intent this in a way. that makes the rule function, because otherwise this rule has no place because it doesn't function as a rule. If FAQs were more regular and Warcry had more tournaments every weekend, then we could play it rules as written. But yeah, you could, totally could. That's one of the issues, right? Is that like when it comes to things like Light Engine Harness or Light Engine Pack, whatever it's called, you can't really ignore the fact it doesn't work, because we might not get an FAQ for another year, right? Like there was a year between the last FAQ and the FAQ before that, right? It was a whole year. It was only 2 months between the last one and this one. Will we get another one in 2 months? I don't know. Maybe not. It might be another year. Can we, as a community, just allow a rule like Light Engine Harness to be non-functional for a whole year? No, it's silly. Like, you'd absolutely intent that. Ideal scenario, it would release not broken, and if it would release not non-functional, or it would release as it is now, and then we would get a very quick update in a month or two to fix it. That might not happen. It is what it is. Like, Warcry is not dead, clearly, but the actual like content mill with the FAQs are inconsistent, so we can't just ignore the fact that some things don't work. Christoph, I did 18 or so damage with Jags on a Warden King at Warcry. That was great. Jags is great. That's the thing, right? He's such an interesting piece, and he can't. The thing with Jags is that he's also got, like, there's so many things with Jags that you look at his ability and you go, holy shit, that ability is so powerful. What the fuck? And then you look at Jags' stats, right? Jags has a 5-inch threat range. He can't rush because he has to use his double to stab, right? His own damage is not reliable. It's like 1-5. The crit's hilarious, but it's not reliable. So his own damage is not very good. He's 90 points, which is very expensive for a Cruel Boy Gut Ripper functionally. Like, he's no more durable than a Gut Ripper. So this guy has very little benefit beyond this ability, and this ability is really powerful, but Jags can't take advantage of his ability himself. You have to have the rest of your warband pull out all the stops and do the damage for him. Then he comes in and lands the final blow. He's like, damn, I didn't kill this thing. This is fucking annoying. Bish bash bosh, slit your throat from behind last second, eruption of gore, right? Like, if Jag's ability was on like something more threatening, it could be considered broken. But Jags by himself is expensive. He's not good at doing his own ability in terms of doing the damage for it, and he requires a whole warband to support him in his endeavors, right? Like, he's completely fine. There's zero universe where Jags is broken, but there's definitely a universe, as Christoph said, that Jags feels great to use, and that is bleeding out a Warden King. Fuck the dispossessed. Baz, I'm still waiting for the retraction of Warcry is dead on all those big channels. I know, right? Like, the thing is, Baz, the sad state of affairs is that there's already been talks as of today that people think Warcry is dead, because this will be the last FAQ based on literally nothing. They've just decided, Baz. Like, how the fuck can you get a whole new faction, all these new rules, fixes to the last FAQ, a whole new match play battle pack 2 months after a massive update, and go, nah, the game's dead. That's the last one. And the funny thing is, these same people were saying in the last FAQ, man, this looks like the last FAQ ever. Shut the fuck up, man. Shut the fuck up. Like, it gives me actual rage. I have zero interest in entertaining just fucking stupidity like that. None. At all. The rules is written for that ability doesn't make narrative sense. Yes, okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see how calling it "Leave You Bleeding" might not make narrative sense. If it was renamed something else, like coup de grace, sort of like adjacent, but in Orcish, it would make sense. But "Leave You Bleeding" doesn't quite make sense as a name of an ability. I can see where you come from with there for sure. I can see dead warbands because seeing that pulls views, probably, right? Like, I think one of the biggest regrets I have on my channel is that like episode 3 of Wild Dice is Warcry is dead, but that's a joke. And you know that's a joke because within 5 seconds of the video, it kickstarts with an actual gag talking about how people are stupid for thinking Warcry is dead. But the issue is that the actual title of the video is saying Warcry is dead, adding to the fuel, which is a regret I have for that video, even though it's meant to be tongue-in-cheek. That doesn't come across at all in a headline. It's like how like text doesn't convey tone. Headlines do not convey tone at all. And you know, even the thumbnail, which is I tried to make more comical, also didn't quite convey that. So like that's one of my channel regrets, is being part of that discourse, even though we were a part of it in defending Warcry, if that makes sense. But we unintentionally landed into the haha, Warcry is dead, because of jokes not conveying online very well. Ziggy, if they were going to let it die, I feel like they would have done it already. This is just wasted. Yeah, Ziggy, yes. Right? I said this last time. I said on the last FAQ, right? Making content for the game costs money. It's not free, right? Let's assume it's just John Bracken, right? So John Bracken is a paid employee. So the time he spends on Warcry is time Games Workshop is paying him for to invest in Warcry and not other projects. Because he also works on Age of Sigmar and Underworlds, I believe. So his time is split. If Warcry was dead, they would not have like one of their big higher up Age of Sigmar rules writers dedicate substantial time to developing content and missions and rules for a dead game. That's first things first. Time is money. They're putting time into it. Secondly, you've also got the fact there's translation costs, right? Like you look at an FAQ, right? Bar the numbers and bar the rune marks, everything else has to be translated into, well, obviously English. I imagine French, Spanish. I believe Korean is also in there. Chinese, I believe. I think German. Like they've got a whole list of languages that they produce the FAQ for on the same day. They have to translate all of that. Do you think Games Workshop has an in-house translator, like a multilingual translator, who can write up an FAQ in 7 languages? No, they pay for that, right? They pay likely by the word for that. So why aren't FAQs bigger? Probably because they have a word limit to what they have to hit, right? If they can't, we have a budget for our translation costs. This FAQ cannot be more than, say, like 500, 1,000 words or whatever, right? Well, then they're still paying for that. That's money they're investing into a dead game. If the game was dead, they wouldn't do this. The game is on a degree of life support. It's on some form of new. It's being supported not in a traditional way where you're getting new box sets, but it's being supported. Money is being invested into the game that would not be done if the game was dead, right? There was more argument for the game being dead when there was no content for a year. Okay, that's fair. But there's been lots of content in the last 2 months. And also, here's the real kicker. Okay, as a community, as part of the greater Games Workshop or Warhammer gaming community, we are spoiled to fuck. Because Warcry didn't get an FAQ for a year. That's a long time, right? Some games, some like highly competitive and competing games to Warcry and to like Warcry specifically, they only get an FAQ every year, right? They get one FAQ, one errata, and that's every year, and that's conveyed to the community, so they're aware of that, right? They're aware they'll only be getting an FAQ once a year, but like that's how other companies do it. Right, like Warcry wasn't getting the same content FAQ errata treatment as Kill Team, as 40k, as Age of Sigmar, but it was still getting the it was still actually in line with its contemporaries from other companies, right? And it's like game like, and the final nail is that Games Workshop do not want their game to lose a foothold in the fantasy skirmish market, right? They fucked up, right? Like 15 years ago or whatever, 10 years ago, they absolutely dropped the ball when they got rid of, what was it? Blood Bowl, right? They stopped supporting Blood Bowl. What replaced Blood Bowl? A whole bunch of competitors who would not have dreamed to exist during Blood Bowl's like height, because why would you ever go and try and compete against Games Workshop's own fucking wild idea? Okay, you're not going to do that. Oh no, they dropped Blood Bowl. Competitors came in to replace Blood Bowl. They brought Blood Bowl back as a way to kill those competitors, and luckily they got their hands back in the market. But they don't necessarily want to have that happen. You saw this with Fantasy as well. They dropped Fantasy. Yeah, exactly, Joe, Fantasy. They dropped Fantasy, and they had to sort of like scramble together another sort of like regimental war game with Old World, and that was like under construction for like, I want to say 5 years or something crazy. It was first announced. And like, bearing in mind, it was announced like 5 years ago or something crazy like that. It was definitely being worked on for like years before that, because of how R&D works within any company. So like, they cancelled Fantasy for Age of Sigmar, realized their errors when people weren't going to Age of Sigmar and were moving to like Kings of War and stuff and other now very popular rank and flank games. Like, I think, is it Conquest? Is the same kind of thing, right? Like, it's all very silly, right? They don't want to be in the situation where they're losing markets to their competitors, so they won't be getting rid of Warcry until they have one of two things: a new edition or a full replacement that takes up the space where Warcry was. It'll likely be as well designed from the ground up. If it's a new game, actually, if it's either if it's a new edition or it's a new game, then it'll likely be built from the ground up with competitive play in mind. Because Warcry, as we now know, if you've watched our last Wild Days episode, or if you've watched off my Musings video, or you've watched from the source directly, Sam Pearson's video, who helped make Warcry. He did a video on how Warcry was made. Warcry was never meant to be competitive. Like, at any point during the design process was the intent to make it a full-on competitive game meant to, be like in that kill team competitive space. It was meant to be a narrative game first, and that was the priority. Warcry 2 was only made basically to implement and improve upon the narrative systems, right? Again, the competitive stuff wasn't fleshed out. It was never meant for that. That was not the intent of the game to be like that. But they've seen that Warcry competitive is a thing people want, and they've pushed this new matched play pack. This indicates potentially they're looking to steer Warcry or the community more towards a matched play setting, more towards a competitive setting. Well, in that case, potentially Warcry 3 has a more robust competitive rule set that is a bit tighter, a bit less loosey-goosey in some places, right? Maybe it's a new game. Additionally, just like that, right? That has a more of a competitive slant from the get-go. It's marketed like that. If I remember correctly, Games Workshop were hiring for an Age of Sigmar skirmish game not too long back. They were hiring for Age of Sigmar. Specifically, I believe. If it's the job roles that I saw, were 6 months ago or something, they were hiring to expand upon their actual Age of Sigmar team in general, but they were also hiring for 40k at the same time, and since, so that they've been expanding all of their teams by quite a bit by the looks of it. They've expanded lore writers, they've expanded their lore writers, their 40k and the Age of Sigmar teams on multiple occasions in the past year. So no idea what they're doing with that, but it's kind of spicy. Almost. Anyone going to challenge Toast to a game? Spicy. Maybe. Joe Pains, that could be the new quest. Okay, Long play him too, so he runs over to the reveal. Content creator live stream TTS tournament. Just got to overcome the massive time zone differences. Believe it or not, Beardo, there was expanding or replacing from all the staff they're losing. Maybe. I don't know. They have had quite the exodus of staff, that is true. So I have no idea. No idea at all. But Beardo, interestingly enough, there was once talks. So I don't believe, I don't want to make the assumption, but I haven't seen a video pop up from 3 Heroes 1 Chaff in a while. Fantastic. If they're still going, more power to them. I haven't been paying attention really. But way back when, 3 Heroes in 1 Chaff, myself, and a few other content creators actually threw around the idea of doing just that, was to have a league basically of content creators to determine who was the best content creator. It never got off the ground because it said time zones are a big deal. But that ultimately stemmed from, I'm trying to remember the timeline. It either became Wheel Cry. If you want to watch me, I'm using to play a lot of games of Warcry. Wheel Cry seasons 1 through 3, I think we've got, was what I think it became. All the idea was inspired by Wheel Cry to be cool. What if you got more content creators collaborating together? It was one way or the other. I just can't remember which exactly, but it has been thrown around before in secret circles that I've now revealed. I've also nearly worked at Games Workshop before on a few occasions. They've got quite the interview process. They go through a lot of steps before you get there. Armour is on Dogs of Warcry now. That's good to know. Armour's a good guy. I'm glad that he's shimmied to Dogs of Warcry, who are also really fun. It's a shame that 3 Heroes 1 Chaff, in that case, isn't quite as operational, because there were they had some fantastic content when they were in operation. I'm going to the channel now. Yeah, it's been 8 months since the last video. So that's unfortunate. So it looks like the channel has sadly went on a bit of a hiatus. But back when they were producing content on the regular, 3 Heroes 1 Chaff were for competitive content. It was comprised of like, you know, like the 4 best players in America. I would say the world, but like, you know, then you've got to factor in myself, and obviously it's not even. That's not a debate. We all know who the true king is there, right? I of course jest. They're like, you know, 3 of the best players, 3 or 4 of the best players in the world, comprised 3 Heroes 1 Chaff. They made some stellar content for getting into competitive Warcry and improving your game. So it is a shame that their channel has entered a bit of a slump. Joe, I would have been building the display in the back of Warhammer World. Jesus Christ. The red ship was crazy. I can imagine. The displays in the back of Warhammer World are quite the sight. If people have never been to Warhammer World, the majority of Warhammer World is this massive museum at the back. It is huge. It has some incredible displays as well. There's a whole room. It's like a massive room that's like got a staircase that swirls around it like once or twice, and the whole center of the room is a massive battlefield that just like stretches to the ceiling and shit. It's this absolutely staggering display of just cinematic mastery. It's incredible. Warhammer World's quite the journey for big nerds. It was Dan in 3 Heroes 1 Chaff. No, Dan wasn't. Dan, I believe it was Mike, Armor Enthusiast. It was Girth Demon, who was also part of, who is still part of Wild Dice. It's just difficult to get him on because of time zones. Kyle and Peter. I forget their aliases, sadly. Yeah, those are the 4. Dan was not part of it. I don't believe. He might have guested, potentially, because they had a few guests from time to time. I believe Off Meta guested once. I've guested once or twice as well. They're really good blokes. Ziggy, I think they kind of stopped after that one Tony they dominated. Hiatus didn't really end. Yeah, I mean, they did go to that one tournament and they went and scored 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, which is incredibly impressive. Joe, a mate already was there and he would have been my boss. Wow. Never work with friends. I think he guessed you. Is that 3 Heroes 1 Chaff? Yeah, I think Dan might have guessed it. Dan is his own cult of personality. Yeah, I mean Dan's like, when it comes to like the hierarchy of YouTube channels, he is the biggest of us all. He was there at the dawn of Warcry, and he continues to persist to this day. Dan is his own authority, and he is very good at what he does. Much respect to Dan. Although, I will say, you know, not, you know, I was a bit of a Dan rimming there. Not going to lie though, Dan, his biggest insult was that he spent a small amount of time when Vulcan Flameseekers launched, and he was poo-pooing them, and I can't stand by that. I still have not forgiven Dan for being negative on Vulcan Flameseekers, and one day I will have my vengeance. Just you wait. We did, Valax. So Wild Dice. We don't have 4 players, so we couldn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. But Wild Dice did go 1, 2, 3 at the last ever Warhammer World Tournament that was held for Warcry. At least as of time of recording. There may be some next year, but for now there hasn't been one. So the last recorded Warhammer World is. I went first, Off Metal went second, and Phylax went third, which frankly, I think is an accurate representation of our actual global skill levels. So, yeah, I agree with that placement and think that's how it actually ranks in reality. Not to poke too much fun at Phylax. Yes, Beard Dad, leave our beardy boys alone. Exactly. The negativity surrounding... Vulcan Flameseekers at launch was entirely perpetuated by Dan, and it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. They are the best warband for sure. Itan's 12 spider list. Yeah, it was a 12 spider list he took, I believe. Or was it Skaven? I don't even know anymore. Honestly, right, Off Meta brings a different list like every tournament at the minute. Like, I've got no fucking clue what he's doing now. Because he ran, it was Pink Horrors and Ephelim to UK Games Expo. He's ran Spiders before that. He's ran Riverblades since then. He's running Flesh Eater Courts next. Like, he's all over the shop, that guy. He's run multiple types of Skaven. He's an absolute legend when it comes to making... off meta lists. He has a very unique playstyle, and he does very well for himself. Beardo, speaking of, man, I hope Fireslayer models get more Flameseekers. Yes, my god, yes, I 100% agree. Fireslayers have such a boring ass look. They all look the same. I can't tell the difference between any of them. But Flameseekers take that concept and make it good. More Flameseekers. 12 Spiders was when I went Untamed. Honestly, right? The Untamed Beast. I think it was the first Road to Gold that I did. And, oh man, like, there's nothing visually going on screen at the minute, but like, I'm rambling now. Like, let's go have a little story. Let's go back in time to when the Untamed Beasts were a thing I was playing with. That Road to Gold was, 1, incredibly successful for the channel, and 2, it led to, debatably, not by me, others say this, I disagree, I think it's a coincidence, to that event having like 5 Untamed Beast players attend with me, which is kind of insane. There was the largest resurgence of Untamed Beasts the world has ever seen, off of the back of potentially Road to Gold with Untamed Beasts. The sad thing about that tournament is that I absolutely dominated games 2, 3, and 4. The list did unbelievably well at Warhammer World. However, it lost the first game by a single point, I think. It was so close. So the whole Road to Gold thing ended on game 1 of the tournament I was striving for, and it was devastating. Absolutely devastating. Yeah, you're right. I believe one of the games actually was against a staff member. I think he was running Dark Oath. Absolutely great guy. It was a really fun game. It was one of the I believe it was an Age of Sigmar rules writer. I don't think he actually worked on Warcry, but he was part of the Age of Sigmar team. And he just so happened to like Warcry a lot. And he was at the tournament. I matched him in game 2. But yeah, the first Road to Gold ended on the first game, and then was followed by like 3 really good games where the list just shone. So that was an unfortunate end to the first Road to Gold. But the legacy of that one is always great, because seeing so many Untamed Beast players in one place. Oh, the staff at Untamed as well. That's crazy. You love to see it then. Honestly, right? I don't want to attribute it to myself at all, because I don't agree with it. But the fact that there was so many Untamed Beast players there, like the potential theory that the series that I did inspired people to play Untamed Beasts in numbers that have never been seen before or since is heartening to see. So it was a fun time to see so many different warbands just all rocking Untamed Beast. It was a fun time. And then of course Road to Gold ended after season 2 because I won, so it kind of like defeated the point of doing Road to Gold, because the running idea for Road to Gold was I hadn't actually won a tournament yet when I started it. I'd always like landed either in the top 10 or somewhere, I believe, in the top 3. I think I came second a couple of times. So it's like one of those things where I was like, cool, I want to do a cool series where I'm going to just talk about a warband that I'm playing and do sort of like a play-by-play, not really battle report, but kind of battle report without the visuals, of my journey to going to tournaments, to try and get people into tournaments, in the tournament scene, and just have a bit of fun and a regular bit of content that was fairly popular. I wasn't expecting it to actually be successful at all, because it was it was an idea that came to us randomly, and I thought, maybe I'll do it because it sounds like a fun time, but I expect it'll have a small audience. It did very well for the weird kind of series that it was. But of course, I won the second time, and I never intended to win them because I hadn't won before. So it's just going to be like, we'll go like 4 seasons of Road to Gold. We might eventually win, and that'd be like a nice sort of like, after like 5 attempts, we've finally gotten gold. I got on the second time, and it kind of defeated the whole point of it. So it's like one of those like weird little things where I was like, cool, I got gold, and then should I do another one? And I did flirt with the idea on Patreon a few times, asking what should I actually play for Road to Gold, because Untamed Beast was my choice, Soul Blight was a Patreon choice, so I asked again for what they wanted. And they picked Cities of Sigmar and something else, which were the contenders. And in the end, I just didn't have the drive necessarily at that point in time, because I stopped going to tournaments after that as well. I missed the next 2 tournaments, so I wasn't really going to tournaments. So Road to Gold sort of like fell off as well, and I just never picked it back up. And I've just been playing things that I've just been enjoying. I guess also the Road to Goals have been really short, because once I started doing tournaments again, they were all within like 2 weeks of each other for like a good 2 months. It was kind of silly. Because I've done a whole lot of tournaments. I've got, I've done pretty well in all of them. I'm looking at my shelf now. If at the start of the year I had no trophies at all, because I didn't get anything, I've actually got, I have 7 now, so not all first, of course, but my competitive record has improved since I stopped doing Road to Gold, basically, or since I won Road to Gold, which is quite interesting. I've been rambling. Let's have a little look at the chat. Sorry. Jokes aside, what Road to Gold did was show other players how skill could make a mid warband shine. Dude, that honestly, right? That means a lot. Because Soul Blight was picked by patrons, like I said, so it wasn't. They picked a stronger warband because they wanted to see a strong warband in a taken in a non-typical way. That's why I went with Zondara with Spite, to go for this sort of like chain resurrecting thing. So this was meant to be fun, even though Soulblight's incredibly powerful. It was built around a gimmick. But Untamed Beast, of course, is a mid warband for sure. And I'm glad that that's sort of what was the takeaway, was that Road to Gold was helped in that sense. My mate Dave only plays Untamed Beasts. Dave's an absolute legend then. I know, because it did to me. I'm glad that it helped, man. Firelax, what about second gold? I got second gold at Road to Defiant, actually. So I've got my second gold already, thanks very much. But what about third gold, right? Beardo, and that's important to counter some of the knee-jerk reactions I had to warbands. Yeah, like I agree. Like, I think one of the big things that really rubbed me the wrong way when looking at some of the reactions to Chaos Dwarfs was that the initial response was that these was either they're not competitive or they're just not like top tier. And my response to that was, I don't want any new warband to release to be top tier. Any. Like, I love Flameseekers. Flameseekers aren't top tier. I love Chaos Dwarfs. Chaos Dwarfs aren't top tier. They're not meant to be top tier. If something releases top tier, that's a bad release. That's a release that's been pushed either to sell models or has been over-tuned due to bad writing. And Chaos Dwarfs are neither of those things. They are a very solid, very unique warband that are very quirky in ways I thoroughly enjoy. The fact they're not top tier is a strength to Chaos Dwarfs, in my opinion. Same with Dark Oath, same with Black Talons, Order of Azir, etc. Right? Even Six of Sigma to a degree. I hate Six of Sigma, honestly, as a playstyle, but like, they're not top tier, and they play a whole thing to themselves. Nothing plays the reaction control quite like Six of Sigma, right? Christoph, you at least inspired a friend of mine. He took up Untamed Beast not too long ago. Again, that's another legend. Untamed Beasts are so much fun, and the models are beautiful. And in addition, the models that I have Untamed Beast were painted by Lord Firelax himself, and they are gorgeous. They are absolutely beautiful. Joe, do it like an old Warhammer White Dwarf battle report. How would I do that? I would need like a... I used to love old battle reports for White Dwarf, but I'm not sure how I would actually do that, because I am incredibly bad at making content and assets. Ziggy, kind of a flex to be like, hey, this is my whole list. Is how it works. Yeah, I guess so. If you look at it, it's a flex to go, I've spent months advertising my list, how it works and how to beat it, and I'm going to beat you with it anyway. Is definitely a flex. I've never even thought about it like that, but the fact that I got gold at Warhammer World with Soulblight, I guess does sort of like... And what's even worse is that my game to opponent was Firelax himself. So not only had he played that list several times, so he was well aware of how it worked. How to flex even harder to put him back in his place. The Soulblight list was fun. It was fun. The Soulblight list was really fun. I'm actually tempted to take it to Warcry in the West, because it's sitting there sort of just like staring at us, and so believe it or not, that list I've only played 4 times ever. And I played that exact list at Warhammer World and nowhere else. I've not played it since. I didn't play that exact composition until Warhammer World. And I've not played it since. So I would actually love to take that list back out again, even though the meta's changed, even though Andy's pack isn't really great for resurrecting Soulblight stuff. I would like to take it out again, because I really enjoyed the paint scheme I did on it. I think it looks really good, at least for me. And it's a list that I want to spend more time with. Dude, I hate fucking speech-to-text typos, bane of my existence. Joe, Flame Seekers with squids. That was a really fun list. The Flame Seeker squid list was good. I would like whenever this comes up, by the way. So the Flame Seeker with squid. I've had not Joe, of course, specifically, but I've had people in the past say that because I ran that list and friend of the channel, Lane, run a very similar list. And because of the history of Road to Gold, that I advertised my lists in advance before I went to it. And I played that Flameseeker list relentlessly online to prep for UK Games Expo, that your lane took my list. And that isn't true at all. Your lane actually came up, we both came up with similar lists completely independently. And it's one of those things where sometimes great minds think alike. And I think it's one of those unfortunate aspects of the position that I'm in. I'm not the largest Warcry YouTuber on the internet. I have an audience, and the assumption that the content creator invented it first and everyone else stole from them is unfortunate that exists, especially when it's not true. So, no, we absolutely did vibe with those lists independently. Baz, have we had a chance to play them? With lots of obstacles on the table, they might be top tier. Yes, I have played 3 games of Chaos Dwarfs since they've released, which is an incredible amount of games in a day, in 2 days. I've managed to squeeze in 3 games and even a little bit of terrain testing on standard terrain setups within TTS, and they do so well with terrain. If you can get like 6 to 10 demon points per turn from turn 1, get that set up, you're going to absolutely love your life. Man, Order of Azir will be a great one to try to go. You're right. Order of Azir will be a great one to try and go for gold, especially if people start coming with swarms. That is actually a really good shout. I really like Order of Azir. I've done some good work with them on a casual level, like on just TTS on random pickup games. So I would be all down for that. I'm a big fan. They aren't the best warband in the game, but they definitely fit that mid-tier that I love to play with. If only to hear you cry, and they shall break upon my shield. Honestly, dude, yeah, every time Valius did that, like, I'd be shouting that across the fucking field. It's like, and they shall break upon my shield. Yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome. Afmar, hello. How are we doing this evening? We're doing great. We've had a whole bunch of rambles. Like, literally, it's 3 hours into the stream. We haven't had a game. We've done list building. We've done rambling. Like, it's been non-stop talking. Like, honestly, I should I should definitely get like a generic sort of like screensaver, like chill vibe sort of like thing on screen, so people can just like vibe to the visuals. I'm just like talking my fucking ass off. Because apparently I can talk for 3 hours straight without a break, and I'm going to continue apparently. And yes, Christoph and Offmet, of course, we had a substantial talk about the new Caradon Overlords, talking about the Null Chemist, talking about the new Vongrim guys, and how they have inspired me to play KO, because there's enough cool stuff now that I kind of want to play them. And also, we discovered, because someone told me and I confirmed it, that the Null Chemist, on average, kills a Slann. If he double shoots a Slann, on average, the Slann dies. And someone suggested as well, my guy, that what if you dropped the Slann from your list for your Riverblades and replaced it with the Null Chemist? Because the Null Chemist does comparable damage and is much faster on a smaller base, so he's easier to hide and do things with, and has that really cool tech where you get +1 damage into flyers and +2 damage into wizards and priests, which is kind of spicy. So Null Chemist is life. Chat is a big fan of Alchemist, and so am I. Phylax, like, we played that game the week before the tournament, and I tabled you. And I think that made me complacent, and you rightfully took advantage. You're absolutely right. The game that we played the week before the tournament, I was complacent in that game. The fact that I played so loosey-goosey and had like placing in rampage range on turn 1, and just like there was so many bad plays in that game. I played that game terribly on TTS. It was not a good showing for the list at all. All my skill as a player at all, it was terrible. And you rightfully kicked the shit out of us for taking it so lightly. I think on the flip side, because you did so well on that first game, you might have subconsciously went to the second game looking for an easy win, only to be met with just the most shenanigans any human has ever pulled out in their entire life. Because that game was incredibly hard. So I think like in the terrain video where I go over it, I simplified the game down a little bit to obviously show off the terrain play that was very important to that game. The game itself was very difficult. It was very close. It was tactically very engaging, and we were both hyped and drained by the end of it because it was such a intense game. One of the best games, if not the best games of Warcry I've ever had, was Game 2 at Warhammer World with Phylax. And it came down to the wire, but I pulled out some absolutely devilish tricks to secure the win by the end. It was cruel to a degree. How mustache twirling some of those tricks were at the end. Joe, are you going to Midwinter Massacre? Is Midwinter Massacre, is that the one in Nottingham? In December, I believe. I would like to. I'm not sure if I can make it though. It's because it's so close to Christmas. I don't think I can actually like justify the expense to travel down. I would love to go down there though. I will let you know close at the time, I guess. I got my revenge in Southampton. That's true. I can shit talk Phylax all day, every day. It's hilarious to do because, of course, we're buddies. He knows I'm joking. But he has actually competitively on the competitive circuit. We are currently 1-for-1. So we have a 50% win rate against each other. We are tied, and he definitely got his revenge because he pipped me something rotten with his paladins. And I was very complacent in that game as well. Apparently me and Phylax are the kings of being complacent. I think the game-losing play was fucking up and engaging Vexmore with a paladin instead of being using my 2-inch spear range to just poke him from a distance safely, because Vexmore then very quickly died on the next turn, whereas he would have likely survived. And that was the big swing, was that you took control of the center of the board because my control piece was killed due to fucking laziness, basically. Really bad play on my behalf. And of course, you whipping out the Phylax special, otherwise known as Inspiring Presence, to really hammer home that mistake and punish me heavily for it. Grumpy Guard, I'm curious as I never found you enjoying lizards. So Seraphon, I can't make a list I enjoy. Right? Like, Seraphon are like Sylvaneth in that they are very self-contained and they've got so many cool things in their list. The difference is I can enjoy Sylvaneth because there's enough things I like in them that I can put together into a list I like. With Seraphon, I can't seem to get a list together that isn't just like, I'm going to take a Slan, a Croxigo, and a bunch of regular dudes. And like, there's very little ability play. It's a little bit boring to get on the tabletop. I've just never really enjoyed playing them all that much. And when I try to go out of my way to make something a bit more different, the lists just never seem to come together. That might not be a Seraphon issue. That might just be a a me issue, not able to wrap my head around getting Seraphon to the tabletop effectively. So I'm not really sure. Off matter, there are only so many things in Warcry, so anyone who thinks that they've thought of something new is probably wrong. Yeah, you are absolutely right. No one's unique. No one really makes anything unique in Warcry. There are too many players, and the game is too old, and there is a limit to what you can take. So, you know, everyone's inspired intentionally or unintentionally by somebody else, or maybe they just made the same thing at the same time because that's how life works. Joe, you with dreads, a leaf behind you, and a green and yellow black hat. The preview is only in another couple of hours time. Okay, like I can't. The stream's already quite long, so I'll probably have to sort of like cut it short. I would love to do the Warhammer preview, but like at 12:30 at night, it's a bit like my office is actually currently, because we have a third child. We have our daughter arrived 2 years ago now. So my actual office is actually in the corner of our bedroom at the minute, as opposed to in my actual office as it used to be, because she lives there now. So I can't actually stay up till 12:30 rambling about Warhammer previews and beyond because of how she needs to sleep in here. So yeah, it's a bit of a hindrance to that. Vilax, it's always excellent playing you unless you've got a Knight of Shrouds. Dude, Knight of Shrouds, right? Like, I don't want to say it, like, I know I've just said that, yeah, man, I don't inspire anybody. People just think, no one really does. People make things independently, right? Nah, man, no one took Knight of Shrouds on Ethereal Steed telling you. That was all me. People still don't take it all that much. I'm telling you, though. I was the inspiration. I am the Knight of Shrouds and Ethereal Steed. Everyone else is inspired directly from me. I'll accept no other explanation for that. The 13th of December for the event. I've got time, but like it's close. It's close to Christmas. It's quite close. And of course, Mrs. Toast's birthday is also really close to there as well. So like a lot of stuff's happening in December. Excuse me, dude, I told you to bring it. Did you though? Receipts, bro. Receipts. All I see is that you're taking Knight of Shrouds to Warcry in the West, and not gonna lie, looks like you're inspired by me, bro. But no, the Knight of Shrouds is an absolute fucking menace. Is an absolute menace. He's such a good piece to run around and just blast people and tank and spank and revive. He's a great piece for 250 as well. Like I believe he used to be 270 or like 280 or something before he got his points cut to 250. At 250, the guy's a menace. Like in my opinion, one of, if not the best allies you can take in death, and is not seen anywhere near enough. Probably because the most common death faction's fucking Soul Blight, and Soul Blight really enjoy taking the electric zombies. So it is what it is. Velas, Seraphon book not out yet for Age of Sigmar. Maybe Seraphon will get something new for Warcry through that. Fingers crossed. Yes, Firehawks, fingers crossed. Seraphon feel like they're only missing a thing or two. They do. They also feel like they've got too much. I think in my Seraphon video, I think I counted they've got like 21 cavalry pieces or something stupid like that. That's too many. If your warband has more cavalry pieces than whole other compendium warbands have as units as a whole, I think there's an issue with that warband and something needs to be cut. Beardo, okay, hear me out. Order Vizier and Mayari Lightcaller to Scryhawk and then blast things. Is it meta? No. Is it fun? Probably. That does sound pretty fun. Scryhawk's pretty darn spicy for sure. I can definitely see that working out well for them. Christoph, I was the first. Sorry. Yes, you were the first to see Rotmire Demonsmith. So it's very obviously my own list that no one could ever come up with, trademarked. Off meta, you weren't here for this. Christoph dropped the absolute bomb of, but what if Demonsmith in Rotmire Creed with a Varangard? With the justification that the Demonsmith ability is not faction locked, so you can reduce people. Well, as it wouldn't be faction locked anyway for other things, but the fact that you can reduce toughness by 2 on a double and then lethal injection is the cheapest and largest reduction of toughness you can get in the game for the lowest cost. So tank toughness, lethal injection, but the secondary effect is that Varangard are terrifying, and because Demonsmithing isn't faction locked, you can Demonsmith a Varangard to heal it. It works. It's so good. Demonsmith as an ally in Rotmire Creed Varangard is the new meta for sure. But yeah, it's been a good update. Like, the update's been great. It's just breathing new life into the game, right? Like there's so much like fun stuff just to pour through, and theorycraft, and the fact that I am incredibly upset that my Seraphon list does not have 4 centaurs in it shows you why the update is good, because I want to immediately... My incredibly successful Seraphon list that I've been using is no longer hype enough, because 4 centaurs could be a thing. There used to be an Ash Bomb Rotmire build that did a similar thing. Yeah, the Ash Bomb, I think, reduces toughness by 1, and it's a triple, right? So there's a few things that can reduce toughness. Like... There's that Thedra, I think, from Slaves to Darkness can do it. But that's also on a triple, which is the issue, right? They're always on triples. But the Demonsmith rocks it with a double, and it reduces it by 2 as opposed to 1. So it's like it's a cheap debuff that debuffs more than anything else. And the guy's at 125, he's cheap as chips. That's true. The Ash Bomb isn't AoE, which is definitely an advantage over a single target, but it's a fun time. I love that the Witherlord is still just like a guy who, on the fringes of Warcry competitive play, still exists because his actual raw stats are fine. They're completely fine, and their ability is potentially devastating. So he just exists on the fringe, ready to come in and goes, hey, hang on, there's a toughness debuff. Is it my time to shine again? And the answer is sadly often maybe, and not just like absolutely yes. But it could be now, because that's pretty good. And also as well, someone else, I didn't catch this. This is not from me at all. But as Bielo just said, someone pointed out that the Ashen Elder is not faction locked, so +1 strength, +1 attack for the rest of the turn exists, and it works on range attacks. You can use that in Skaven to make a Gun Rat Ogre attack 9 times with a triple and a double, and that's from Biedo. And that's a combo. That's a wombo combo, which is rather entertaining, and arguably better than Packmaster play. Maybe you do lose out on Packmaster for the whips, right? You lose out on your battle trait taking the Ashen Elder, but it's kind of funny, right? 9 shots, strength 7, 3/6 damage. It's kind of hilarious, right? it's kind of wacky, which I'm a big fan of. But it's been 3.5 hours. We've been talking for 3.5 hours. Yeah, I mean, no one will take it because you lose a battle trait. Yeah, that's probably the big kicker is that the Skaven battle trait is really good. So you don't necessarily want to take allies to lose it, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah, that's still an option. Use Scritch instead. Scritch is all about resurrecting, right? Use him instead. Bring Tick Tick. He comes back all the time, right? Tick Ticks, Scritch. Who needs a battle trait? Ashen Elder, baby. Let's go. But we've been nattering for a good 3.5 hours. And we didn't get a game in because we've been talking like fucking forever. But oh, hello. Packmaster has 2 extra dice. Elder has potentially 3 on another double, so I'm not sure it's entirely worth it. That's true. It's definitely competing with that Packmaster. But it's a fun combo. I'm all for it. Throw it on a Deathmaster. More chance to hit and easier. Higher chance of doing damage for that insane kill gamble. That's true as well. No, Packmaster is a raw attack action, I believe. Packmaster, show me your tricks, Packmaster. We'll check. I am pretty confident in saying that it works on attack actions and not on... Yeah. Oh, hello. Aha! Packmaster cannot make you shoot. You are entirely correct. I made an assumption that was entirely wrong. Yet you can't whip the gun guy to shoot because it's melee only, which means the Ashen Elder absolutely has play in swelling up a gun rat ogre. New meta. We heard it was from the Beardo Dad first, if that's the case. If Ashen Elder becomes a thing in Skaven, we know where it came from. It came from this stream. It came from the Beardo Dad, the legend himself. But I'm going to call the stream there. It's been 3.5 hours, and I think we had a good old night out. No games were played today, but that's fine. I think sometimes just nattering relentlessly is the way to go. And we went through so many lists. We went through an incredible amount of theory crafting and lists. And we had a little bit of story time at the end, which is always fun. So a thank you to everybody who popped in and said hello and participated in the chat. It's been a fantastic stream. I had a blast. Hopefully you've all had a blast too. And I will see you all not next week, sadly. Because next week I am traveling to Bristol on the Friday night for the tournament on, I believe, the Saturday. So I will not be able to stream, although I may post a short from the hotel I'm staying at. So you might get some content, but it won't be a stream, I don't think, simply because I'll be traveling. But yeah, I'll catch you all in a bit. And again, thanks for popping by. Ta-ra.